another 2 minutes here.
That's okay. It's still going to be a cool night. It's still going to be fun. I hope we can get some people in here. It looks like we're a little short staffed right now, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead, ADE. I'm going to go ahead and drop this link so that you can jump up here, and we'll at least have some fun talking. Even if we don't do a good show tonight. If we end up not doing the show tonight, guys, we'll do it tomorrow night. I promise it. Instead of a chill stream, we'll do the Nerd Wars tomorrow night. I got to be honest with you. I have not slept well this week. I'm really, really tired. And I'm just really kind of, not as good as I could be. So we'll see what we can do. Hey, what's up, Logical Spark? We're gonna give it a few minutes, guys, and see if we get people trickling in. If you can, spam the show to your homies. Let them know that we are going to be we do have Nerd Wars tonight. Nerd Wars could be better. Sci-fi
Debates.
What could be better? What could be better than that? What in the world could be better than sci-fi debates? What's up, my man? How are you doing? Tyler, can't hear you. No. Yeah, it's an audio. Where would the world be without audio problems? Can't hear you. Go out, come back in.
I'm muted. That's why.
You're not really nerd.
Tired. I am beat. I
know I heard. You should order yourself some food so you can eat while you're on here.
Well, I could go inside and get some food, but I don't know how many people actually pay attention when I talk about this. My studio is in a building that I actually had built for my wife during the last unpleasantness known as COVID. So she had a home office away from the main house because we had a 0 to 1 year old at that time, right? We had newborn during that time period. And so her having to work remotely, it was really tough with a crying baby, right? Like it's hard to work remotely. So we put, so I built this, and on the other side of that wall, there's an airplane in pieces because I call this the airplane shed. And so this room here is the studio that I use now, which used to be her office. And the house is over there on the other side of that wall. And, probably 20, 30, 40 feet. I don't know how far it is, but it's there. And so for me when I cam down, I'm not walking in the next room to do something. I got to go in the house through the,
Yeah,
so,
I get that.
So it's not it's not quite as easy as you might expect. But it's been a good day. It's been a good, honestly, other than the unpleasantness of Charlie and the even further unpleasantness of the people coming out and being absolute garbage humans.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's been a good week for me, at least. I got a lot done. I've had pretty good stuff going on. But
Is your first time making this?
but I hadn't gotten a lot of sleep because Tuesday, obviously the thing happened with Charlie. I was on various panels. I didn't stream that day myself. Didn't really sleep that night. Wednesday, I did my show. I don't know if you guys caught that, but I was pretty unhappy about that. And but I didn't sleep at all Wednesday night, really. A few hours.
Yeah.
And then last night I slept a little bit, but not, not enough. And I heard that she was speaking, Mullet Baby, and she's an excellent speaker. She really is.
Yeah, I watched it twice. I was just on the Raging Tomato, but I watched it prior to watching her stream.
Yeah. How long did Sarah last on Fatty's stupid ass panel?
Oh, I didn't watch the whole thing.
Usually she gets like 20 or 30 minutes into it, and then she's like, "Yeah, I'm out. This is garbage."
I think maybe an hour and a half. I don't know. I've been having kind of a tough week, not just with Charlie, but like I've had all my kids are sick. We're all getting sick over here. Kids are back in school, so my kids brought it home. Plus, I have a 6-month-old baby, so it's been very.
Yeah.
I get you on the no sleep. I haven't had sleep in months.
Right. Yeah. You understand.
Mm-hmm.
How are you, the average debate enjoyer, in your shirt and tie?
Well, actually, I'm doing pretty great.
Still no
today.
volume.
Nope.
What the fuck?
We understood that.
Maybe check your mic, what your output is on your computer.
Well, I changed it to that
There it
initially,
is.
and then it changed back uninitially, and I don't really know why it changed again.
Yeah. So I don't know how many people we're going to have tonight. It seems like everybody is live with the with something about Charlie and everything, which is fine.
Or people are just finally starting to settle down and get some sleep too.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
I was on Whatever earlier today, and that was pretty rad.
Yeah.
It's amazing that Brian decides to just do a random ass stream and he gets 4,300 people in there.
Wow.
Right?
Well,
Like,
it's the followers that he has, and people are subscribed and get the notifications, so it's a lot easier, I guess.
yeah, that's probably true. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. In the vein of what's been going on with all of these people losing their blessed minds,
Hold on a second.
in my town, this lady's now famous. This lady who's the assistant dean of the university that I went to. I mean, obviously it was a while back. I went there like 30 years ago, but this lady's the current assistant dean, and she got fired for for talking trash about Charlie Kirk. And what's interesting is there's a guy out there. I don't know if you guys know this. Yeah, and I want your opinion, ADE. Do you think it's right, or do you think it's poetic justice that people on the right, like this guy who is out there collecting all of these TikToks, all of these tweets, all of these examples of people being complete and utter fucking garbage, and saying that Kurt got what he deserved, that nobody cares, couldn't have happened to a nicer guy, didn't happen fast enough, all of this kind of thing. And he's taking their bullshit, and then he's finding at their employer, and he's sending it to them with their state harassment laws, with the laws that these leftists have passed to prevent people on the right from criticizing them, right? Like, you can't say a person's trans, you can't say this, you can't say that. And now there's this guy out there, I think he's a TikToker, and he is lighting these people up, just lighting them up. Like, and he's like, and he'll put out TikTok, and he's like, this person here puts up the picture, puts up the tweet or the short or the video or whatever. Yep, fired. Right? Like, fired, because he's getting them fired. Well, and he's using their own legislation, the things that they've been beating the right with, browbeating us with for decades now. He's using it against them. Yeah. What do you think, Tyler? I got to hear this.
So I think that I watched this happen in real time. There was a cancel culture movement, and then when people started doing the same things back, they're like, oh, the right believes in cancel culture. They took the definition of what it was and expanded it to be accountability for your words. Accountability for your words has already existed. It's not cancel culture to punch somebody in the mouth and they say, hey, your girl's got a nice ass. That's just how the world works. Cancel culture, in particular, was changing something that was set in stone and then going back and retroactively punishing people for saying things that were appropriate at the time that aren't now, based off of a particular brand of woke politics. And people tried to work that into something more general. This is accountability for their own actions. This is the same thing with all the Palestinian protesters on campuses. They were sending them, hey, do you want to hire this person at your law firm? This is their history. Is this truly somebody you want? Yeah, it's the same shit. Like, You
Right.
should be, and that's why they're wearing masks.
I mean, that's an interesting thing too. I honestly, so let me get this straight, Tyler. Just fact check me here. You are a white boy. If you went to Palestine, they would murder you. Why would you support them? like why would you support someone that would literally kill you for existing? They don't need any other reason. You exist, and therefore you must no longer exist.
Yeah.
How? Make it make sense. I actually have one of my good friends, a guy I've known now for 20 odd years, done business with him, and I would still today, I was going to invest in his company. I might still. He is so anti-Israel. And he's like, well, I have Palestinian friends. They're really nice people. And I'm like, yeah, because they're in America.
Yeah.
Well,
Go, if you were in their country, though, they would delete you.
it depends
Lie.
on when and where. If you went there 10, 15 years ago, if you went there before Hamas was in power during the Palestinian Authority times, you could easily go there. And a lot of that is blamed on Israel. The reason
just get
why,
robbed.
yeah, they've devolved into this terrorist state is because Israel has an open-air prison and they won't let anybody leave except for the majority of Palestinians that don't live in Palestine anymore. All the rest aren't allowed to leave and all this shit like that.
Right.
Like, it's just dumb excuses as to
Right.
why.
It's just so insane to me that anybody in America that's not already a Muslim would support the Palestinians. Like, it boggles the mind. I'm not saying you need to support Israel either. Look, I'm not. They're both fucking wrong in my opinion. It's horrible. It shouldn't be happening. They're both wrong. They need to just stop it. But they're not gonna. What am I gonna do? I'm certainly not going over there.
It's
right?
the anti-American, anti-Western omni clause. They support anything, no matter how antithetical it is. Even if it makes their life worse, they support it as long as it hurts America, hurts capitalism, and hurts the West.
It's insane.
It is. They support China.
It's crazy, man. It's literally like, understand these people will murk you. On one side of the border, the people will murk you for existing. The other side, they just don't like you very much, and they don't want you there. But they're not going to murk you, right? And it's pretty insane that. And again, I was having this conversation literally last night, and he's like, "No, you don't know that that'll happen." I'm like, "Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I really do know that this is what happens. Like this is, and you're lucky if they don't behead you live on Al Jazeera, right? Like you're lucky if you just get, murked peacefully in your sleep or something. I don't know.
I'm sure before
It's crazy though.
Yeah, before October 8th, I'm sure if you go in with some people and to the right places, you probably could have went to.
Hey, what's up, Corey Barton?
You could have
How
went
are
to
you?
Palestine and probably gotten out of there and had a decent vacation.
Sure.
And you have to avoid all this over here and avoid their government over here and this. You probably need a bodyguard or something. I'm sure there was a way though.
Right. Well, look. All I'm going to tell you is, it's on my list of places to never visit. I'm just be honest with you. It's just the way it is. Now I want to address Mullet Baby's little post here. Rob Noor, by the way, past 2 streams has said he is done with the people who wished harm on Kirk. He said he is done with Destiny, Counterpoints, Connor, which, by the way, I think most people, honestly, are done with Counterpoints, and all the people who wished harm on Kirk. I'm going to support that, right? Like, first of all, Rob Noor is a grown-ass man. He can do whatever the hell he wants. Second, I don't like Connor. I think he's a snake in the grass. I think he's a sellout. He's a bigger sellout than anyone I know. And I'm going to throw Destiny in on top of that. I don't think Destiny sold out nearly as much as Connor has. And I don't you know, I've only had a couple of interactions with him. He seems shocked by my attitude towards him. But as an actual conservative, as a constitutional conservative, he offends me. He's full of shit.
I spent 2 years trying because I'm a moderate and I constantly get told by left-wingers, like, you're not left-wing enough, so you're not really left-wing. You're actually right-wing secretly and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, Connor got the same shit. So I tried to defend him, and then he went full into this whole Epstein thing. Trump's a pedophile. We all know it now, and he's covering it up. And then you find out, like, the dude you work with on a daily basis is a pedophile, and not only do you know it, you don't care because it's making you money. And, like, once he came out and said that, it's like, why even fuck with this dude?
Yeah, dude, the way that him and Brianna Wu swept for Destiny when the Pixie allegation first came out was so offensive, dude. It was just so like, I actually respect Destiny more than I do Connor, because at least Destiny kind of owned it. He's like, yeah, okay, this is what's going on. I'm fighting it, like it or love it, hate it or not, I don't care. This is what's going on. Like, okay, I can accept that. Right? I can accept that. That's almost stepping up and being a man. But Connor just swept all of it. And then he lied about it. So, well, I wasn't sweeping for Destiny. Bullshit. You were over there sweeping so hard, you still got.
They're also like a liberal. That's.
I mean, it's crazy, man.
Okay, I watched it live. I watched him. He put up videos. Oh, I told Destiny this was going to happen because he's a sex pest and he shouldn't be a sex pest. It's degenerate. Anyways, we're working together on this next thing. It's like, what the fuck?
Well, and the thing is it? Well, I'm going to get to that. Give me 1 second here. Leah says, Grid, just wanted to say your articulation of current events has been impressive. Appreciate it. Well, that is actually very much appreciated. I try and be articulate and speak very clearly. However, apparently I failed that last night because Soy Pill could not grasp the simplest of concepts and answer the simplest of questions in a manner in which was intelligible by humans. You're laughing because that's accurate, right?
Well, in fairness, that entire panel got fucking derailed by libertarians, so we really didn't get to. I had him concede to the point I needed him to concede to. And then we got fucking onto Scott's definition of slavery and went down that stupid rabbit hole.
But even before that, it was like, so I had him, bro. I had him. What is an acceptable length of time? What means they have roots here, right? Like, how does what is it? Well, 1 year, and then we could have got into like, well, why 1 year when all of, I mean, obviously we got completely derailed. But I'm pretty sure he grasped the point. He is not a stupid man, but he just didn't want to come out and say, no, I can't really define this. It's my feels. It's just what I feel. There's no rationale here. There's no defined thing. There's nothing we can say 100%. This is what we should do. No. So yeah, and actually, I think I threw Soy Pill off last night because I didn't talk trash. I didn't get upset with him. Any of that. So I thought, I thought that threw Soy Pill off his game because normally I'm very loud and I'm very bombastic on purpose, but this was like, yeah. He did say Fabian a lot. I'm like, what the hell, man? How low is your test if you're saying Fabian?
We got him to admit over the course of the evening that the fact that there's so many people here living as these second-class citizens, which he somewhat admitted, is like the fact that there's so many here and waiting puts a sense of urgency on us to fix it, and that's why we're in such a rush to give them amnesty. He basically just flat out admitted, yes, we're letting these people come in, we're not deporting them, we're ignoring the laws, we're doing everything we can to keep them here, and then we have a sense of urgency to make them all citizens so that we can get more votes in order to keep our spot in the House.
His justification for that was it's cheaper. Yeah, it costs too much to deport them. Like, no, it's not. No, it doesn't. Like, that's random bullshit. Like,
It costs way less money to not lock up murderers too.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's random bullshit. Like, you can't say that. But yeah, so that was last night was interesting. I'm really tired of progressives. I don't care if you're a progressive conservative or a progressive liberal. If you use the word progressive, bro, we're done. We're done. Like, I'm done at that point. I would rather listen to Fabian ramble on about libertarian concepts than listen to a progressive sell my ass down the river. I honestly thought that he was doing it on purpose too, Smoking Spaceman. I really did. Ladies and gentlemen, if you were just coming into the show, I was running a little bit late tonight, and we don't have a full house, and we may end this thing early just because I'm really tired. But if we get enough people to have a great debate, I would love to have the debate. If not, we'll do it tomorrow night. I'll go get a good night's sleep. I'll sleep late.
I'm gonna get off here for a little bit. I'm probably gonna come back here in a little bit.
Yeah, no worries.
My older kids are still awake, and I hear them in the back, and I don't want them running in here. So.
I understand all of that.
All right, I might be back, you guys.
Yeah,
right.
We'll be here. We either will be here or we will not.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Well, thanks for coming up.
I invited like 10 people. One of them is answering now. The rest are just staying silent. So I don't know.
There's a lot that's been going on, and to be honest with you, I feel like I've been online an awful lot this week, and way more than I normally do. I don't normally stream it all on Tuesday, and I was on a lot Tuesday, obviously, with the Kirk thing going on, and yeah, it was just really bad.
Sad to see. I put on a costume and everything for tonight.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man.
No, it is what it is. That's life, you know.
You know, and you know, it is what it is. I'm not mad. I'm not mad. We'll get it though. We'll do. I really like the Nerd Wars concept of it. And did you read any of those prompts I sent?
I did. I read them all.
You read them all?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, this week sucked. I agree, Silvar Ogre. This week sucked. It sucked I mean, honestly, it's really sucked a lot of motivation out of me. I need a good long sleep. And my wife is the big problem is, and we'll just get off of the debate topics at all. The big problem is my wife wasn't here, and so, you know, it does my soul good to lay down next to my wife every night, and when she is not here,
doing it tonight.
That it's a problem.
They were all up last
just be honest with you.
Right?
I don't need like.
Yeah, so
It's, you know, it's an interesting dynamic because in one aspect I don't need it normally, but when something like this happens, I'm like, yeah, you know, I want that human attachment, and she wasn't here, so she's back, so that'll be good.
My wife's a Kirk fan. She's very upset about all this. She's sides with him politically much more than I do, so. She's been watching all the videos of him and his kids and all that shit, just all bummed out the last couple of days.
Yeah, my wife, so my wife is apolitical, really. And so she doesn't really care, but she came, one of the first things she asked me when I picked her up at the airport, less than, you know, an hour, let's see what time it is. Right about an hour and a half ago. One of the first things she asked me was, you know, have you streamed a lot on the Charlie Kirk thing? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely, I have been. And I went through the whole thing, and then she talked about her conference in New York and how they, you know, what's going on in the company and some other things, and you know, it's a really good thing. And yes, I do like my wife. I love my wife. My wife is awesome. My wife is the thing that keeps me from being a fucking pirate. I'm just telling you right now. Like if it wasn't for my wife, I would be a bad person. I'm just gonna just be honest about it. Like, because I wouldn't have that grounding.
I would just spend more, less prudently for my future, just because, like, when you don't have that around, it's like, why? You know, I'll just spend as I go. I don't just save
Sure.
that much, because I don't have a family to worry about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so my take on it when I was younger is that I knew that I had to work really hard and I had to gain a lot of skills to do what I wanted to do. The problem is that wasn't conducive to having a family or having a girlfriend even, right? You have no idea how many women that I would try and date from time to time. I'd be like, I am tired of hot and cold running women. I really need like one woman or something like that. And I would try for a little while, where I'd be like, I don't want to be and of course I wasn't using the word degenerate then, but just, so that people know what I'm talking about. I would be like, yeah, I'm kind of tired of being a degenerate. Let's try and find a girlfriend. And I'd start dating some chick, and then I'd have to go on the road for a month or 2 months with the race team. And I'm calling from Bristol, I'm calling from Daytona, I'm calling from Road Atlanta, I'm calling from where the fuck ever. And a lot of women immediately assume that I'm going to strip clubs every night. I'm out chasing tail when I'm not. As soon as the race is over, I'm at the hotel, I'm showered, and I'm out chasing ass. And it took me a while to really understand the amount of insecurity that women really have in that, and so yeah. Oh, you're getting what's that? What does Glenn call that? Chore. I forget what it is. It's he'll be along any minute now. He'll tell you. Hey, Kissy Cat, how are you? So, but yeah, so I determined that I had to be somebody before I could be somebody. What's up, Steel Man? How are you? I mean, we're getting a few people rolling on in here, just not as many,
It's understandable. That was a big event that happened the other day. And
Dude, there are so many people live tonight. It is insane. You're at the beach? That's legit.
I wasn't I wasn't a fan. Like, I don't have anything against the dude. I just wasn't. I never watched the shit.
You weren't a fan of Charlie?
Yeah, I just never watched it. I missed that part of the internet when he got famous, and by the time I got here, he was already a huge name. Like,
yeah, that's kind of where I was at. Like, I kind of heard of him, through Turning Point, and then, I knew that him and Crowder were trying to come to a deal. That's actually how I really, really understood who he was. Is him and Crowder were going to do a deal, right? And apparently Turning Point couldn't offer Crowder enough money or whatever it was. I'm sure there's some article written about that somewhere that's accurate. I don't want to be inaccurate. But they parted ways. But Charlie loved that idea of the going on college campuses and challenging people to a debate or a conversation sitting across from a table. And he literally stole that idea from Steven Crowder, and Crowder kind of let him. Crowder was like, yeah, I'm done being on college campuses. He got a little bit older. He had his own problems right about that time to deal with, so he kind of let Charlie take that over. Now, Charlie was already going onto campuses with Turning Point USA, but he was really going on the campuses, talking to young Republicans, talking to different organizations, and just being kind of a motivational speaker, right? Like, he was not yet the guy who sat there under the tent, and he kind of did that with Crowder, and he, like I said, he took that and he made it his own, and that's what people are going to remember him for. That's what the clips are about. But some of his best moments, man, were when he was talking as a speaker. He's a very good orator. He's a very good speaker. He was very clear, and unlike a lot of speakers, the words that he was saying matched the expressions on his face. And so when he was talking to you, you felt like A, that he was talking to you, and B, that hey, what's up, Chaotic Truth? How are you? Good to see you, man. I thought you were still streaming. Maybe he's got somebody over there, lighting the fires or something. I don't know. Good to see you though, Chaotic Truth. I need to get over to your stream more often. And the link's pinned if you would like to come up. I am tired. I am very tired. It's been a long week, and I may end the stream early tonight. We'll see. Maybe not. Maybe we'll get enough people in here to have a good game. It'd be great. But everybody's been streaming so much. I mean, I know people were online like hours last night. But I like the way that the message was pretty standard. So I'm not going to say that I love Charlie's message, but I really like the way that he went about giving the message. And the more important thing is that you can look through hundreds of hours of Charlie Kirk material and never find a hateful moment. And who can you say that about? You can't say that about me.
I just wonder, like, with Rob's movement to go after people that said things about Kirk. Like, you got Destiny saying things and a couple other people saying things, but like, how far could you logically take that? Could you go after everybody calling conservative Republicans fascists because they use the government in a way that their opposition doesn't like? And if so, how far back do you go with that? Because I remember years ago when I used to watch Tucker on Fox News, he would call people fascists, and then you go to Rachel Maddow, and she would
hey,
Hitler.
What's up, the horseradish? Good to see you in the chat, man. I'm not familiar with you, but it's always good to see someone new. I am also worked up for the nerd debate. But to be honest with you, man, I'm tired. I was late. We don't seem to have quite the numbers tonight. But if you want to come up and debate Tyler, he would love a nerd debate. He absolutely would love that.
Was one of my invites. He was one of the people he does similar to what you do on Fridays, he does on Saturdays. That's what I was trying to get you guys to chat. So that he's having a hard time getting right wingers, you're having a hard time getting left wingers. Okay. And there's some people that could probably go between the two.
Sure.
And you guys are on separate nights and everything. I don't see why it wouldn't conflict.
Yeah. But you're welcome to jump up. The link is pinned. Come on up, hang out. If we get enough people, we'll go. If not, that's fine too. I'm beat, man. It's been a long ass week, but I really like the idea of the nerd debate. And if we don't do it this week, we will definitely do. I mean, if we don't do it today, we'll definitely do it tomorrow, because why not? So.
That's fine. The wife will be happy with me not having to be up till 2 in the morning, and I get to go pay attention to her sooner.
Right. Yeah, I don't like being up till 2. That's the other thing, is that so the problem with starting late is that we get done late, and I'm pretty anti go to bed at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I have kids that I have to get up and watch. I have things I have to get done. I've got so many projects, and I'm always doing something, and so I can't waste hours in the day, right? And I like a pretty set schedule. My goal is to be in bed by midnight. If I can, if at all possible, I'd like to be in bed at midnight. Maybe 12:30, 1 o'clock is fine, because I typically get up at 5 o'clock whether I want to or not. Because the little button in my brain goes, time to get up. And I get up. Yeah, see, Cam the King's got the same button. He said he wakes up every day at 4 a.m. I've gotten up at between 5 and 6 a.m. for so many years that it's just like, I don't even care. I do have that. Do you have that ability to say, I need to get up at 3 a.m. and you just go to bed and you get up at 5 till 3 a.m.? Do you have that? I have that.
I have sleep apnea. I will go for 12 hours if they let me.
Really? If I slept for 12 hours, somebody would think I was dead. Like, people would legit be wondering if I was okay.
I could function after 5, but yeah, if I could sleep for 12 hours, I would.
My man, Horseradish, how are you, sir? I think we've got. He may have.
A little disappointed. No, I can hear you. I was muting everything on the background.
Gotcha.
It's sad but understandable. Like half of the irregulars that I see in here all the time that I'm sub to are all live right now, or doing their own thing. Powdered Dusty's live.
That's what happened. Yeah, that's what happens. Is it's been such a long week with so much material that people are. There's literally like my entire board's lit up too. Like everybody's live right now, like everybody. So and that's fine.
The truth is that's why I was looking forward to tonight, because I figured this is going to be something that will get people out of their shit. You know what I mean?
I was hoping so
too.
So, but no, not yet, brother. Sorry.
No worries. Pleasure to meet you. It was at least an opportunity for us to get introduced. So
yeah, man. Let's
internet handshake.
Sure, absolutely, man. Absolutely. So what do you do over on your channel? Tell me a little bit about what goes on over there.
So, well, I'll give you the TLDR as much as I can. When I first started streaming, I had 2 people who I invited to stream in person with me, people that I knew like in real life. Sure. One was a middle-aged MAGA Trump lover. The other was a black transgender anarcho-communist. And the 3 of us hung out and talked about stuff together. My whole goal was to show the world that, you know what, we can actually have conversations like reasonable fucking adults together. And I thought that was a really noble gesture. I thought that was a good principled stance for me to take. That lasted for about 9 months before the 2 of them wanted to kill each other.
I was going to say thermonuclear warfare seems imminent.
Yeah. So at that point, I started streaming solo and just doing what I do, but doing it myself.
Okay.
I do what I can to be as reasonable of a person as I can. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. I firmly believe that you can't actually argue against a point unless you truly understand the point. And so I do my best to truly understand anybody, no matter which side you're on. I'm trying to be as good faith as possible. I will push back on people if they say something that I think is patently fucking stupid, which I think is our responsibility as a content creator. But on the same token, I also feel like I give people as much opportunity to say the dumbest shit possible and let God sort them out. You know what I mean? Like I don't try to stop anybody from saying dumb stuff. That if you want to say dumb stuff, say it. And I got plenty of people who will disagree with you. And I think that sort of open forum debate and challenging of ideas is the way that America worked when I was young, back before I had the sparkle in my beard. And I wish we could get back to that. I am becoming more and more disillusioned and saddened at the idea that maybe my dreams and principles are completely misplaced and a pipe dream. As far as my own personal political beliefs, I've taken several of those fun little, political stance debates or the tests and all those. So I am somewhere in the progressive libertarian field, which is to say that I believe in personal liberties first and foremost. I believe that we work and operate as a society, and if you operate as a community, the community has to have some sort of sense of self, and it has to worry about each other. But I also don't believe in freeloaders. So finding a way to fix that problem and try to find a way to balance that, instead of coming up with things to bitch about, I'd rather us come up with solutions. So that's really it. I'm solution based. So no matter what, when somebody says something, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna hear them out, and I'm gonna see if they've got something behind it. So that's me in a nutshell.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now I've actually been tuning in, lurking kind of quietly, and watching your stream. And the fact is, you had fallen on my radar because of Grumpelstiltskin. Who is a pretty damn fine cat in my opinion. And then whenever Tyler mentioned you as well, I was like, all right, cool, let's look in and see what we can do.
Okay.
And the thing is, again, I'm kind of old. I'm older than I actually look. We're probably we're about the same age. I'm guessing. Yeah, I was going to say I'm betting we were probably in high school about the same time. But with that said,
I was born in 71.
Oh fuck! You're older than me. You win. But not by much. Not by much. Just so you know, I try to give out as few exact personal details as possible. But late
Sure.
70s myself. So again,
Yeah.
we're in the ballpark.
Right.
But
I get a lot of times people say you're just another 40-year-old idiot that doesn't know anything, and I'm like, I'm
50-year-old
a
idiot,
much older
goddammit.
idiot than that. Trust me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and so yeah. So whenever Tyler first, so I stand on. I was raised with certain ideas of etiquette and manners, and you don't invite yourself into somebody else's house.
Were you raised in the north, south, or somewhere else?
I will answer your question, but I'm curious why you're asking.
Sure. Oh, I'm from the south.
Okay.
And what we colloquially call the deep south. I'm from Tennessee. I grew up in Tennessee. I grew up in a small town. When I was in grade school, there was an actual KKK parade in my town.
Sure.
Now that was 1 year, and it was the last one that I'm aware of because I didn't pay attention after that.
Sure.
But I mean, I come from the South, and so I have a very specific way of looking at things. Even though I've traveled the world, I've seen a lot of things, I've done a lot of cool stuff. But when I listen to someone that's grown up in, say, the Northeast, and all they really know is a city environment, a very urban kind of feel to it. Even the guys that were like from New Jersey. I went to school with some guys from New Jersey when I was in high school, and they had a very different mindset and perception than I did, and so. And I find that people say, well, you can't pigeonhole people, but I find that if you grow up in a region, there are values that you kind of carry with you, whether you want to or not.
There are
And
definitely
people
trends.
can change, obviously, but I'm saying, yeah, basically there's, and so I know that, and it just gives me I'm looking for points of reference.
Sure.
So when you tell me you're progressive, I forget the other, but when you're progressive, moderate, or whatever.
Libertarian.
Yeah, libertarian. That gives me one reference point, and if you tell me that you're a progressive libertarian that grew up in Iowa, that gives me another.
Okay. No. Then what I'm about to dump on you is going to absolutely fill in some of those blanks for you, sir.
Sure.
So number one, I was born to a military family. I was born on a military base. My father was a lifer. He retired after 22 plus years. So I grew up in the military is the answer.
Okay.
I grew up literally everywhere. There was no one place.
Gotcha.
I spent 5 years.
Yep.
Yeah, I told you it's going to fill in a bunch of blanks. I'm a diehard patriot who believes in the original principles of the United States founding, because of my patriotic father and the upbringing I came from. That said, my dad grew up in Detroit. My mom grew up in Texas, so I was influenced a little bit by both. My father was raised Protestant. My mom was raised Catholic. Both of them were non-practicing by the time that I came along, but neither one of them ever tried to push me towards or hold me back from religion. Religion has always been a thing that I personally have pursued out of a fascination and interest in its uses, et cetera, et cetera. That said, I spent the first 5 years of my life on Guam, which is a little rock out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
Yep.
After that, we moved, funny enough, to the Northeast, but I was on a potato farm surrounded on all four sides by potatoes in northern Maine. Like literally so far north, you could throw a fucking baseball across the border. After that, we moved down to Mississippi, which was where I was born. We lived there for about a year, realized the economy was garbage. That was when my dad retired. So we moved to Detroit, Michigan instead. That's where I went to high school. We went through that. I went from Detroit, Michigan down to Austin, Texas, and have since moved up to the Pacific Northwest. So I've zigzagged across the country, but most of my youth, I went from, I have very interesting views when it comes to several things, but specifically race and racial tensions, only because I went from being in a military setting where racism is not openly discussed or permissible. And in fact, if you do that shit, even if you're drunk at the NCO club, your ass is gone by morning. And when my dad retired, like I said, we moved to Biloxi Beach, Mississippi, where I was regularly beaten up for what I looked like. My parents decided to solve that by moving me to Detroit. That fixed nothing. So again, like I said, when it comes to
Yeah,
certain
that's
aspects,
interesting.
well, and the thing is, this is one of the sociological, psychological things that I have deep thoughts on, which is that I believe that we are equal parts nurture and nature, but I think that nature is probably more important because nurture is a choice. So, as an example, I have firsthand experience of being the bad end of severe racism, and it made me see why I will never be a fucking racist. I would never do that to somebody else, whereas some people would have gone through what I went through and taken it personally and decided to do the same thing back. Another one is an abuser, right? Some people grow up in a house full of child abuse and they become an abuser. Some people grow up and say, fuck you, I'm going to hunt abusers. So again, this is one of those things where I believe that we get to choose how our experience manifests. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all really interesting. I
Dumped a lot there.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. I actually have a really good friend of mine's from Detroit, and he's an author. He writes really good books, and we were actually talking about how Detroit has changed, and it's basically going back to the forest because it's been there's so
it's crazy to see. Yeah, the nature's taking that shit back.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool, but it's also evidence of the fact of how quick humanity is going to be erased from the surface of this planet once we're gone.
Yeah, that's an interesting. Yeah, that's something I talk about too. Well, that's all interesting. I think that's it helps. But
like I said, I definitely filled in some blanks for you. I'm sure.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
Now that same thing, you see, I got to push back a little bit as a dude who came from Texas, which is much deeper south than Tennessee. Why do you consider
Texas
Tennessee
is not southern? I'm sorry. That I understand that they want to be, but they're
north, south, east, west, Tennessee, Texas. We're like the bottom end of the country, man.
Still not southern.
You can't get south there and still be in the really US.
They're like they're basically we just took over a section of Mexico, so they're basically Americanized Mexican.
So the truth of that is, whenever I first moved to Washington, everybody was talking about how blue the state was. Again, I'm neither blue nor red. I don't vote Republican or Democrat. I think they're both fucking businesses, and they're both out. Neither one of them is out for the America's best interests. They're out for their own corporate best interests. That said, when I first moved to Washington, everybody's like, "Oh my God, it's so blue up there. You're gonna hate it." And then when I got up here, I realized it's the same fucking thing as Texas. The difference is the people who moved to Texas on the oil rush, that same independent, leave me the fuck alone mentality, is what guided the people who moved up to Washington for the gold rush. The only difference is it's really cold up in Washington, and they're like, you know what, maybe we should probably cooperate a little bit so we don't all just die. So that's literally the only difference between Washington and Texas.
I think Washington's pretty interesting. I've only been there a couple of times. I actually been to Oregon more than I've been to Washington.
Out of curiosity, which side of Washington did you go to?
I went through Washington because we were there used to be a racetrack in Washington. I don't think there is anymore.
Well, there's a couple, but yeah, no, so the reason I ask is because I've met more Klan members in the state of Washington than I ever did in Texas. I deal with way more racism in this state than I ever did in Texas. So, and everybody thinks that it's going to be like super ultra woke progressive up here in Washington. It's like not at all.
Well, I think the problem is, and I had a friend of mine from Walla Walla, Washington, which is a real place. I didn't.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, Walla Walla, it's smack dab in the middle.
Yeah. And I guess it used to be a pretty small town, and I don't know that it's a big town now, but and he was telling me how, much like California, the problem with Washington is that the metropolises decide the state, and he said you have all of these people who are more or less conservative or conservative leaning, independent. They don't want handouts. They don't believe in all of this stuff. You have a whole group, probably the majority of people. But the problem is that the cities are just packed with people who are obviously very left leaning, and there's nothing to do about it. Obviously there's probably something, but in this conversation, there was nothing you could do about it. So I was like, yeah, I get it. And I think there's a lot of states like that. Or Oregon's another one.
That's
Like
actually,
I
I
don't
was just gonna say
understand.
that,
I don't understand why Oregon is so blue. I just don't get it. I've tried to wrap my head around it several times. What's up, John Mosman? How are you? We have another libertarian here, although technically Mosman is a Christian anarchist, but
and
that's close
technically,
enough.
I'm not a libertarian according to every libertarian I talk to.
Sure. And so I get so I get it when people and that's why I don't immediately judge people from where I don't like try and put people in right or left based solely on where they're from. And if you told me that, well, you live in, you live in Seattle and you love everything about it, and there's just nothing you'd change, and I would probably say that you're pretty doggone blue. But
Probably.
it's not the case if you live outside of that, right? And again, I think it's kind of the same because I owned a house in California for a while, and I lived at Lake Tahoe for a while when I was just out of college, and I did I've been in California quite a bit, and they have some of the most conservative people there. They're just great people.
Right, and I know some really good.
Reagan was the
people live
governor
in
there for how
Seattle.
long?
Yeah. The problem is that they will never get a conservative elected in that state the way it's set up, and it's just politically impossible. So,
Are you a fan of the Electoral College?
I mean, the Electoral College I am a fan of. I think the way that my problem with California is the way that they gerrymandered the districts and the way that they've done. The biggest problem is the gerrymandering hurts, right? I mean, that's a problem. But the real problem with California, and I'm not sure if I'm going to explain this correctly or if you know a whole lot about it, but the biggest problem is that they don't run individual primaries. So if you are a Republican candidate, you're not running for your spot or for a spot in the election against another Republican. It's just everybody. So if there are 8 potential candidates, all 8 of you are primaried at the same time, and so and there will be Democrat candidates there, and it always works out that no Republican has made it past a primary in something like, I don't know, 18 or 20 years, right? It's just the way it is. It's a very strange thing because they can't get the votes to change the primary system in California, so they can't get the votes to change it, so they can't get someone elected. But it's crazy. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. And I don't know what to. I mean, to me, California's lost cause. Free state of Jefferson, folks. Free state of Jefferson. So, that's all I can tell you.
All right. Well, so let me ask you a question there then.
Sure.
What would you think would be a better, because like I told you earlier, I'm a solutions-based guy. I have an idea of a way that we would be able to get rid of gerrymandering, because the fact of the matter is, again, this is the biggest thing. I oftentimes in situations like this find myself standing in the middle looking at both sides who are talking past each other, right? Which was the thing, like I told you whenever I first started, what I had never heard of the term horseshoe theory until I had Roddy and Barbie hanging out in the hot box with me. So that said, what we all were able to agree on was that instead of drawing these arbitrary, silly ass jigsaw puzzle Tetris lines, what if, and this should seem like an obvious solution, what if we were to all instead just go based on feet or like bodies per square mile? Like that makes the most
I think that's
sense.
been proposed. I don't know that it's been tried.
I don't either. I don't believe that it has, but the key is it would get rid of all of the corruption or all of the corrupt parts of it while still maintaining the purpose of, so that we do not just have the tyranny of the majority, right? Because every city or every state is absolutely at the fucking bending the knee of their cities, right? And anybody who doesn't live
Well,
in the
no,
cities
no,
hates that.
I disagree because like
What cities?
Tennessee, currently at least, we have 3 blue cities basically:
Memphis,
Memphis,
Nashville,
Nashville, and Knoxville.
Knoxville. Okay.
Nashville is kind of turning back purple. It might go red again in the next couple of years, but and Chattanooga's been red, but it could go purple, because it's getting bigger. But
And if it does, will it change the politics of your state?
It won't, because the way that our elections work is pretty good, and it's more based on the county, not the cities themselves. Some of the cities are split into 2 counties, because they're so big, and so it kind of limits the effectiveness. Right now, there's no way that the counties in the smaller sectors are still very well represented. That could change. I'm certain there are efforts to change it. But in my state, at least, did we lose somebody? Oh, no, Steelman's still there. Huh.
Oh, yeah. Hey, man. Sorry,
What's up,
did you?
No, I was just, I thought somebody else was up, and then it looks like they dropped, and then I couldn't remember who else I'd put up. But it doesn't matter. They'll come back if they want to. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, it was Mosman. That's right.
Mosman, yeah. Mosman has internet problems because he's out in the middle of nowhere, fucking Colorado. I think he's out near Steamboat Springs. No, he's past Steamboat Springs towards wherever the fuck that is. He's out in the middle of nowhere. So in my state, currently, we're going more red than blue, but that's because our state has a surplus, but we have a budget surplus every year. People like that. Don't have state income taxes. Quickest way to kill your political career in Tennessee is mention the words state income tax. Like that. That's just, they don't. Nobody here likes that idea. And so right now, I think Tennessee is the way most states should work. We actually just passed a law last year. It takes effect this year. Actually, matter of fact, I think it took effect this month. That starting in kindergarten, all schools, public and private, must teach firearms education to everyone. You cannot opt out. Parents cannot opt their kids out of it. They have to do it. They have to do it. And so, and it starts in kindergarten and it goes to 12th grade. And every year you have firearms safety and firearms education. Now that can take a lot of different forms. In kindergarten, it'll probably be a film strip, a cartoon, something like that. With maybe somebody, showing kids, hey, don't touch this if you see it in dad's, closet. First grade, second grade, third grade, it's going to, it'll probably expand, might include, by the time you're in junior high, it might expand to range trips. We don't know. It's being administrated by the TWRA, the same people who give the hunter safety education course. I feel like we're doing things pretty right here. Right. So
I don't know much about the politics of Tennessee, to be honest with you. It doesn't actually fall on my radar very often.
Yeah. We're pretty red.
Well, fair. What I always sort of assumed, I guess, and the fact that you're telling me that your big cities were turning purple tells me that the big cities were
Memphis
not particularly
is blue.
red.
Yeah, Memphis is blue as fuck.
Sure. And normally whenever one thing that I suck at is doing the Google checking. I always have people in the chat that I'll just say, hey chat, tell me if this is true. Right.
Yeah. I'll try and be as honest as I can.
No. I'm sorry. I'm giving you a preface, not about what you're saying, but what I'm about to say. So
okay. Gotcha.
I always assumed, I trust people. I have a tendency, I'm probably more gullible than I should be, but I tend to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Same.
I don't lie. So I don't assume people's going to lie to me, but whatever. Anyway, so my assumption, and I will admit that it is just an assumption, was that every city in the country, if you take the total population of the largest cities and you compare it to the total population of the rural areas, the largest cities are going to outweigh in population. And like I said, maybe there might be a few exceptions, but at least generally, I assume that's true. Like, given the fact that Los Angeles's population is equal to the state of Iowa, I just kind of Idaho. I always get the two confused because they don't really matter. But the point is that
I think it's probably Iowa.
Oh no, yeah, you're right.
That's
And
where
I
I
was
went.
Edinburgh.
with
That's right.
California.
That's right.
You're talking about
Right,
University.
either
yeah,
way,
there's also
I
US,
assumed
like,
that there
what is it,
was
Texas
far more
A&M, Pan Am, or
population
whatever.
density in the cities
Pan Am,
that
yeah.
outweighs the total population of the rural areas. So as such, I would have assumed that the rural areas are always going to be at the ultimate whims of the city. If the city decides to go blue, if all three of your major cities went hard blue, how would that you're telling me that would not affect?
It wouldn't currently affect it. They would have to get Knoxville, Nashville, Memphis, which are already. I mean, Nashville's purple, Knoxville's blue, Memphis is blue. Chattanooga, it varies year to year between red and purple, and it could be blue. It could go blue. They have enough people moving in there from Atlanta and whatnot. But even at that, there's still enough weight in the smaller towns and cities that are not and probably will not go red. And it's kind of the same thing, and I'm glad Anson is here because he'll talk about Alabama. It's kind of the same thing that Alabama and Mississippi and some of the other states go through. That there are the counties have everything in the South is about the county. It doesn't really matter what town you're. People don't even reference towns. They'll talk about counties. And so I don't think it. I mean, I could look at the numbers, but I don't think it would. You would have to have another like my town. My town would have to go blue, and Clarksville would have to go blue. Like you'd have to have way more than the big four go blue for them for it to change things.
So it looks like, just for the record, that there is no obvious or easily findable. I'm going to have to Google for my damn self.
Sure.
But anyway, no, it looks like Vermont is by far more rural than urban.
Oh,
but
yeah.
All the other states, I would have to actually compare the statistics and numbers, and there is no easily comparable. So I'll do that some other time on my time.
Yeah.
So, but again, it was still my assumption. That was all.
Sure.
Are we baiting tonight or what? I mean, there's.
I don't know, man. I'm actually, to be honest with you, I'm wiped out, man. I have not slept well this week, and I have been online far more than normal. And we started late. Cleaner's not going to be here. Glenn's not going to be here. Glenn's still sleeping off last night. I think he did that like 20 something hour stream, and then he was online yesterday for at least 8. I mean, he's probably sacked out for the next week.
Yeah, I quit the internet too, so I'm not here also.
I heard you quit the internet. I did. I heard that.
I did. I quit. This is my swan song.
So good. So what do you think about Alabama going blue?
Well, so Alabama was blue until 2010 when the Tea Party wave came through. The Democrat Party still had control over the state legislature until 2010, and that was due to the historical Democrats being aligned with the racists in the state, and doing what Democrats usually do, which is pitting people against one another, right? And that's the Democrat playbook. I honestly think that there's an absolute chance that the Democrat Party can come back and take over the state. All I got to do is to find a more effective way to lie to people, and pit people against each other. I mean, there's no shortage of people that dislike other people. So,
Smoking Spaceman has some, or pardon me, Silvar Ogre has some advice for you, Anson. Welcome, Alley Cat. You came in. I was not. I was very rude. Did not welcome you. Welcome back, sir. Enjoyed having you on last time.
man, what is that background of a siren and a kid running around? What the hell is it?
What's that?
There was like a siren and a kid in the background. You don't hear that, Grid?
No. Does anybody else hear that?
Yeah, I can hear you still, man.
I can't hear Steel Man.
Yeah,
Why
we
do you
do.
hear
I don't
Stan?
hear him either. So I'm thinking we might know where the siren's coming from.
All right.
Well, real quick question, since
Yeah.
there's a lull, I'm just curious, Mr. Anson. There, do you believe that Democrats are the only ones who actively try to pit each other against each other?
No, of course not.
Oh, okay, cool.
The Republicans do it too.
Oh, you're
I mean,
going down a. Oh
Nope.
boy.
Yeah,
Love
there ain't no difference between the Democrat and Republican Party. They're all just one.
Anson's a
big jersey.
monarchist. He's a monarchist.
Oh well, now that's fucking stupid. But otherwise, I had you. Like we were there together.
Yeah, well, I used to
and
be a libertarian, but I got cured of that because that's fucking stupid. If you're a libertarian, it means that you believe that there's a kumbaya, everybody's going to come together and get along just fine.
Yeah, no,
Libertarians
that ain't
are twice as dumb as a monarchist.
100%. No, I'm kind of big on like America and like how America was founded and the whole
Oh yeah,
this to the crown
the
and all that
lie
jazz
that you
stuff.
can vote and it means something. Yeah, I'm big
Oh
on.
no,
that
no,
too.
that is a
Well,
lie,
like the
100%.
incantations in the Constitution that give you magical rights that didn't exist before they were written down. Yeah, that's
No, they were
that's
there.
great. Yeah.
They were there. They just codified.
You know,
But
all
no.
I know is that I didn't sign the Constitution, so it ain't got a damn thing to do with me.
My favorite part is the first thing that Congress did once they were sworn in was pass a tariff.
Did they?
Marilyn said she
First
wants
thing.
to get up on the panel. Did you see that in the chat? She said she's going to get up on the panel, Grid.
Well, that's
kinda
fine.
I wanted to ask
The
Horst,
link is there. It's not like it's hidden or anything.
not that your plan wouldn't work to end gerrymandering. It's just how do you get a democratic state that would only see negatives come from this policy, see them losing power, see them losing House seats? How do you get them to implement this?
Well,
Pitchforks and torches, man. Pitchforks and
someone
torches.
wants to end gerrymandering.
Just
So wait,
yeah, but
I don't even understand how it works. Like, what do you mean by population density? Like, so let's say a state has 6 seats. How does that? How do you decide those 6 seats?
So, I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head of what constitutes how many to get a seat, but it seems
based
to
on
me.
it was based on population. Like it was like 200,000 per. But the problem they ran into was that our population grew, and I think if it was still that thing, there'd be like 3,000 people in the House, and so they capped it at is it 430? Yeah, 435. And so now it's just a proportion of the population, or take the total population, divide by 435, and how many people you have in the state. That's how many you get.
So
Okay,
who wants to end gerrymandering and why?
I do.
Why?
Because it's useless.
No,
Because
it's
it's
not.
not useless. It's strategic nonsense
Yeah,
that
and
does
it-
not. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Who's supposed to draw the lines then? That's what I want. If you're
That's what I'm
seeking-
proposing.
Yeah.
I already,
Okay.
that's what we're in the middle of.
Oh,
So
yeah.
here's
So
the
figure-
key.
yeah.
Here's the key. We can both agree it's a dumb system as it is. Let's
No.
look for a better solution
I don't
as
agree on
opposed to
that.
just saying, well, this is the best we got.
Well, you have to create districts. Okay, so like
Yes.
like I'm not even I'm assuming like we could discuss whether the president should be popular vote or based on the electoral college, but
Electoral
that's
college.
irrelevant. That's irrelevant because you still have to get House seats, and so again, if there's 6 House seats up for for a state, you have to figure out how do you figure out who
Yep.
gets those 6 House seats.
Yep. Nope. 100%. So
Yeah.
back to what I was trying to say. So we have a state, right? Let's say a smaller state. Just we'll pretend it's a state. Let's call it Tennessee, okay? And Tennessee has a population. Let's go with an easy number: 100,000 people, right? So we know that. Let's go with every 10,000 people in an area like gets X number of seats. Right. So we can decide whatever that arbitrary number is based on what makes the most sense. You made a good comment about how we don't want to have tens of thousands of fucking representatives.
Why not?
Right. Agreed. That's actually why we have the state base
Why
or the
not?
state.
The way that the Constitution was originally constructed, we would have way more representatives than we do
Yes.
now. But the progressive era saw an end to that and diluted the voters' power and basically.
Okay, if you want more
made-
people, that's fine. We can do more people.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
just trying to
Like
make it so we
New
didn't have to
Hampshire.
build a
New
bigger house.
Hampshire's got hundreds of
Cool.
representatives. in
Perfect.
Liverpool.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Then you know what? Let's stick
Democrats
with what you
actually
said.
want to go for that. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Democrats
No,
would
okay,
actually
cool.
want that.
Anson, I'm good with that. If that's what you want to do, let's do it.
No, I didn't say I wanted to do that. I'm just
Oh,
poking holes in your
I'm
dumb
sorry.
logic.
That's no. That was
No.
what you would. Which one do you think is smarter, sir?
not allowing people to vote because voting is immoral.
Okay, so we're moving back to the intelligent people now. So even if we keep it at 435 people, we can just do 435 people times however many people are in every square 1,000 miles. Let's say, right?
Okay.
Whatever that is.
So, no, to your point. So
we
let's
would still have
use numbers.
the exact representation would make more sense that way instead of drawing arbitrary lines and then changing.
But I disagree.
Can you let the man answer, please?
Yeah, I can let him answer. Yeah, I'll go after him. Go ahead, Alley Cat. I'm sorry.
So I disagree that you can't you don't draw arbitrary lines. So let's assume it's in the future. Like right now, the population is around 340 million people, but let's say it's 435 million people. So it makes the math easy. 1 million people per spot. The problem is that 1 million people could be 5 blocks in New York City, or it could be the entirety of North Dakota, right? So how do you draw the line to know where one region stops and where the next one starts?
That is a really good question.
Well, that's what gerrymandering is.
No. Yep. I understand. So just so you know, I'm going to think out loud so that you see how I'm processing, right? So I understand what you're saying, that we do not want to have, because the very purpose of our having the Electoral College is so that just because the population density, we don't want the city, like I said earlier, the city of Los Angeles has the same population as the state of Idaho. Mm-hmm. And I do not think that the city of Los Angeles should tell the state of Idaho how they should how they should live their lives. So I understand why we need to have proportional representation based on region.
Well, no, you just made a good case for the Electoral College.
Yes.
Because, California is still going to get the House members in order to appropriated based on their population. So they both each have the same House members, but they both also have 2 Senate members.
Yes.
And it's the combination of that elects the president.
Sure. So again, I was using the Electoral College as a representation of what I'm talking about, because I feel that we need to have representation in our government. And I'm trying to find the most efficient way for that to happen in a fair manner, so that it's no longer something that is used politically for advantage, but rather it just unfolds as it naturally unfolds. And I can't think, I'm open to any other suggestions where the politicians stop redrawing the lines on either side to their benefit, because I'm sick of hearing that argument instead of us fixing the real fucking problems.
Agreed. Okay, so this is where I'll take it. The problem is you're still going to have to create borders for districts. Like you can't get around that problem because, of what we're going with. But what this one guy did is used computer simulation to show that you could feed the computer certain criteria and it could draw a map with borders that meet that criteria. He showed that you could sway one district all the way one way or the other. He also showed that you could sway a district so it was perfectly proportional across the entire state. Well, and so the idea would make it, you could theoretically computerize it.
So, Alley Cat, I've got actually something really important to say on this topic. Hoser Radish, you've really brought up a good point, right? We can't trust our elected officials to do something simple like draw a map, right? So why would we trust them to do anything? I agree with your logic. Agree. We should outsource, the whole legislative process to one person, maybe with like title to the government that they own. So they
has that ever worked out well in the past?
So this is when we go to
skin in the game, right?
Is libertarian monarchism again.
Well, how do you have libertarian monarchism? I thought that those two things were contradictory.
Well, not in the world of Anson.
No, they're not. So monarchy and libertarianism are not things
contradictory. I thought you were the one who was insulting libertarians earlier when the word came up.
In terms of the ones that try to exist within a system where people are allowed to vote. Yeah, I mean, because voting's immoral, right?
So inherently you're an authoritarian, is what you're telling us. That's really what you're trying to say, but with bigger words.
I'm not an authoritarian. I'm a monarchist.
You do not believe in self. You do not believe in the preservation of personal liberties.
Well, what is a personal liberty? How can you preserve something that doesn't exist?
How are you going to answer me a question with a question?
No, I just you've made an assertion that this thing exists, and I'm saying it doesn't.
you do not believe that we have an inherent right to freedoms and self-actualization.
Yeah, there's no such thing as rights.
Right on. So what country do you plan to move to? I'm just curious.
I don't plan to move to any country. I'm a heritage American. My family's been here since the Revolutionary War. I love this country.
Even despite the fact that you literally are saying everything antithetical to the beliefs of the founding of that country. That's what you're saying.
The founding was beautiful until the Federalists came through and
yeah, the founding was to get away from a monarchist, man.
No, the founding was to get away from the monarchist, and then within a few years the Federalists bastardized the system that was created. The Articles of Confederation were ruined under a coup by George Washington and Alexander Hamilton. They enacted one of the worst.
It's like talking to a communist, isn't it?
World history, and we're convinced that the founding is this great and wonderful thing that it's not.
I had no idea that monarchists and communists acted so similarly. It's very interesting, and I appreciate it. I've literally never met a monarchist before in my life, so this is cool. This is really interesting.
It's different, right?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. This is an insight that I never would have gotten before. I'm dead serious. I swear on my fucking life, I appreciate it because I like it whenever I hear people who say shit that I've never heard before. Because I promise you, I'm going to go to bed thinking about every goddamn word that came out of this man's mouth tonight.
Oh, I'm telling you, Anson's very interesting. Anson's been a fan of my show for a long time now, and he actually, I have it right here.
I want that hat.
One of the first things that Anson told me to do, we're talking about liberty and you know how America works and all of that, and he said you need to read this book, The Conceived Liberty. And I actually found a copy and bought it and read it, and I keep it in here because of that.
The fact that it's still in there, is that why you keep it there? Is because he suggested it, or because you thought it was a worthwhile read?
It's actually a really good read. I will take that double stamp and I will read it myself. So a little thing about me, just so you know, because y'all don't know me, but I don't believe in throwing the baby out with the bathwater, which is to say that if you see, I plenty of time, if you're looking for gold, you got to go through a whole lot of dirt. So again, sometimes somebody that I might disagree with on 95% of this shit, I'm still listening to that 5% because it might change something I thought. For instance, Mr. Alley Cat, he brought me to my knees. So, and I appreciate you even more than I appreciate Anson, to be honest, because those are really, really good points. And I got to try. So here's the key, because as I said before y'all got here, I'm looking for answers. I'm looking for solutions. I want to solve the problems. Everybody I talk to sees certain problems. And I believe it might have been Anson who said this part, that it's going to be impossible, and maybe it was somebody else, but it's going to be impossible for us to get the government to vote against its best interests, right? So, or maybe I was you. I'm sorry, Tyler. I apologize. Again, one thing that I have never heard a single person disagree with me on is that politicians shouldn't receive bribes. I've not heard a single person who disagrees with that, right? So why is it that we're never going to get legislation that inhibits Congress's ability to receive donations?
We have that already, right?
The problem you run into is
soft money. The problem you run into is soft money. Like for instance, if I'm trying to go on campaign and somebody says, "Hey, we've got this perfect venue. We'll hook you up. We'll set up everything. We'll bus everybody in, and it won't cost you a dime." Is that a campaign contribution or not?
Fair enough. Let me go with an even more clear-cut one that I've never found anybody on the other side of. Do you believe that politicians, while in office, should have the ability to do individual stock trades?
We got to get that.
Yeah, that's a rough one. Yeah, because that's okay. So what's interesting, I have a friend from Canada, and he says that in Canada, no, they cannot. Like they literally have to freeze all their assets every single time they go to. Okay, but this is my.
Didn't somebody sell their fucking peanut farm or something? Come on, man.
So the issue that I have with that is that doesn't stop you for doing favors for friends.
Sure.
Right.
And it doesn't stop you from what happens after you get out of office as well.
Gentlemen, I want to welcome to the show.
I apologize. Yep.
The legend, Casimir. How are you, sir? I may have surprised him because he was in the back for a while. I didn't see him, so.
Yeah,
Casimir, you there?
Okay.
Casimir? He may also be having mic problems. So, because a lot of people have
No,
to.
he just muted his mic, so he's. I think he's around.
Okay.
Yeah, he's muted. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, and that's the problem we have.
Yeah, he's
is
got
that
mic.
We do have politicians who can do this, and there are a few out there who have fought to try to get this pushed back, but they get the same thing. And this is where, you know.
Well, but you're not gonna. You're not going to stop it, right? Okay,
Nope.
so I don't do any stock trades, and I
no.
don't have any stocks. But guess what? My wife does, or my husband does, right? How do you stop that? Like, or
Constant
not your
vigilance.
well, you'd have to, like, maybe it's not them. Maybe it's an LLC under somebody else's name.
So you don't think that the people that make the laws wouldn't just find a way around it? See, that's the problem with caretaker style governments, where people don't actually own the government as their private property, because they don't. There's agency problems related to the fact that they have really no skin in the game to pass this on to someone else, right? They're just temporary people that we put in place. They have enormous power and they abuse it, because that's part of human nature. That's why communism failed, right? Because the political elites took advantage of the system and made themselves, you know, into very rich people, right, at the expense of everyone else. And it's the same problem with the democracy or representative republic. We're not any better than the commies are here.
Funny thing is, the first part of what you were saying sounded exactly like every communist in my channel. So I
well, just because they're commies, just because they're commies doesn't mean they're always wrong.
Ooh.
Yes, it does.
How do you feel about Marx, Arson?
Marx, economically, that guy's a moron. Yeah, he dialectical materialism. I mean that entire, it just doesn't work, right? I mean, you can't basically separate people by classes. That's not how human nature is, and everything that he thought of and conceived was destructive and didn't value human dignity and treated people as a means to an end, kind of like how democracy does by allowing people to vote.
Do you believe that your monarchy should take power by the point of a gun?
Well, yeah, all governments do.
I'm asking you specifically.
Yeah, of course.
How
else are you supposed to maintain power?
So then you are okay with other politics?
Yes, he is. He is, because he sees that as a natural reality.
That's how our system works.
It's a natural reality.
That doesn't make it right, bruh.
You can, well, yeah,
No,
but
that's what it is.
can't enforce something. You can't enforce something without force, you know, and that's the problem when you start saying what should be enforced, right, by an agency, organization, or an institution where they have a certain amount of power that no one else has, right? And this is why of all the things that are nice about democracy and all of the American pie and the hand holding and the wave your flag, we've kind of miss on this kind of thing, which is that these things are a natural attribute of any type of government.
Yeah.
Well, I think if Casimir comes on, he's going to be able to show an alternative. It's not going to get around the force issue, but the idea behind it is distributing that force across a larger area.
They want to take away property rights, and we don't. They
but
want
is that really
things
the
and are
way that
pursuing
human
something.
nature works? I mean, even in a democracy, we've highly centralized everything in this bureaucratic mess that we have, right?
Agreed. What if it wasn't centralized?
And prior to that,
Are you proposing feudalism?
No.
Prior to that, we had highly centralized governments where it was basically around one man, right? So I mean, it's human nature for us to build hierarchies and place someone on top of them.
Agreed. So
Staffers,
again,
they're in
Casimir,
our cohorts.
They're
repping young Democrats of America. They're in our colleges. They are deal with the devil.
He is a really good anarcho-capitalist.
And he can have some interesting conversations. We've had some. He and I have had some good conversations because he was actually one of the first people after I had my debate with Andrew Wilson that reached out to me and he gave me his really good constructive thoughts on it.
Yeah, but
he's the guy. I've really been trying to get to talk to him because apparently his pointed arguments against communism is awesome.
Yeah.
But I just messaged him to try using Chrome if he's. So there's something about if you try and use anything but Chrome,
I love you.
Doesn't like it.
I love you.
Yeah, Streamlabs doesn't like anything but Chrome.
Yeah.
But
yeah, Anson's got a good sense of humor. You can't deny that.
Love it. Love it. You're my hero now. Congratulations. My first monarchist, and it turns out he's swell.
Well, Anson's a he's a unique fellow.
Professional troll.
He quits every week, by the way.
Yeah, I
He
do.
quits every week.
I'm not on the internet today. I quit the internet.
I heard when you came in, sir.
Yeah, he quits every week. He shows up late. He harasses the women. What can you do?
So I'm not a big fan of shameless self-promotion, so I'm going to try and keep this succinct because I don't have any other way of being in contact with you, Mr. Grid. But you just told me that you got a great ANCAP, and I happen to have an amazing ANCOM. So I think that we might have to touch tips at points.
Are you doing debate con?
So I'm saying that maybe you and I, Grid, we could be what brings us back together.
There's the man himself. Welcome, sir. How are you?
ANCOM, huh?
Holy fuck, he even looks like ANCOM.
So I don't know if you're doing DebateCon, but I have an event that I'm doing as an opener to DebateCon in Nashville, and it is and I'm actually looking.
Oh, that's a real thing. I'm sorry. No, I didn't.
Yeah, it's a real thing, and I'm actually looking for an opponent because Fabian Liberty's coming, and he is a great ANCAP debater, and I am looking for an opponent, a commie opponent for him that is worth the test, because honestly, I honestly think Fabian Liberty destroys the average communist.
That's not hard to do, but
at will.
not to,
So he
not
needs
to be
like,
a dick,
I
but yeah.
really need like a really good communist to debate.
I have a few of them in my pockets. I try to
debate
collect
Fabian Liberty because I really want because you guys probably don't know this, but Fabian has been since he went on Tim Pool, he's like really, he took it to heart that he needed to get his health better and everything, and so he's made a lot of changes to his diet and to his exercise and all that. And dude's dropped some weight, but more importantly, his just listening to him, his mind is just ridiculously sharp right now. Like he is absolutely. Oh, thanks, Sarah. Thanks for sending a raid. You should come on up and hang out with us. We were going to have a debate show, but I guess we're just going to hang out and talk shit. I guess
You've got an ANCOM. He's got an ANCAP.
Well, we got enough people here to debate. Let's get a debate.
We don't have. I don't have judges. I don't have.
Vader was framed.
Yeah, but I really, I mean, just like last night, we were debating.
You feel under
and
attack
we were obviously it was a panel debate, so it was interesting. But Fabian presented this. The Civil Rights Act was actually enslaved us, and I was like, wait, what? And then he made the argument, and it's a very convincing argument.
Was that one of the Charlie Kirk talking points? Because I know I had seen on the list of controversial things he had said.
I don't know. Casper's here. Casper, can you help us out with that?
Is that was it the same arguments? I'm just curious. I haven't heard the arguments.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I can. Can you guys hear me?
You're a little low. I can turn you up over here.
No, I'll work it. So, sorry, my camera just decided to die.
That's okay.
So I'm on board with this. You have. So I wrote a post how the United States had a second civil war of sorts, and I received some pushback, but I can give you the pillars of it. So in 1913, you lost your access to your savings because the Federal Reserve was established.
Yes.
And it basically created the groundwork for a monopoly on money and the replacement of money with currency. Then in 1917, you lost the access to your body in case of a war. because the Selective Service Act was implemented, which introduced conscription.
So no, you're not going to tell me
in
that the crime is not happening.
1934,
And secondly,
your gold
I find
savings were
it's
entirely
interesting
taken by
that
the
you're
federal
saying that.
government.
Oh, well, I'm sitting here thinking it's
And
the enemy.
everybody
No,
who resisted ended up in
I
prison.
thought that these people were people
So
we
this
could talk
was,
to.
again,
but then I
warfare
caught on the internet
against,
today.
other
And
forms of
all
savings
I
in
see
hard currency,
is lies,
in hard money,
just constantly. Like first they
And
would
then,
account with 5 million people
what
posted a photo with this kid with a
afterwards,
Trump shirt on,
by the
trying
time
to
that you get
astroturf
to,
things beforehand. You got
you
out
are
of hand.
losing your
Then
last
all day
bit of
I saw,
freedom
it's probably a
with
Groyper.
the
It's probably a
freedom of
Groyper. Even though
association.
the initial stuff looked
Now
like it was
you
a
are
lefty, but you know
forced
that's what
to
they started
associate
spinning.
with
And
people
then
who absolutely hate you.
and then
And,
after it comes out. They're still in the now. It's just
this
crazy,
is
even though
done
a friend and
under the
family is now
idea
confirmed
of
he was the only
liberation,
leftist in the family, and he was had been
forcible
radicalized on
integration.
Reddit online. Like
Now,
this is just something that's
amusingly,
unequivocal fact,
the
and it's just
same people
lies.
that were
And then you're telling me
forcibly
the right
integrated
is gaslighting people.
are
No,
now
sorry.
most of their quote unquote
did
their
just gaslight
mainstream
again, but
opinion
that's besides the
is
point.
they prefer
So,
segregation.
How, by telling the truth?
And now they want militant
Well, no,
segregation into
you
their
know,
own
the
safe
idea
space
is
against
crime
you,
going-
who is
you
their
said crime's going
alleged
up.
oppressor.
Well, it's over
So
the
it makes
country, it's
absolutely
really
no
not, though.
sense.
This is actually verifiable.
And
it's not as
and how does
safe
it
with the
lead to
numbers of the
enslavement? Well,
FBI statistics,
very
right?
simple.
You don't have
Those
to believe them. They're
principles
being run by Republicans and
situations
have been run by
where
Republicans for most of
you
the
just
last
cannot
10 years.
isolate.
Where
You
do you
can't
think
even
the
do
FBI
that. You're
gets
not
their
even
numbers
allowed
from?
to run away to the woods and live alone.
From themselves in the
And
states.
the argument is not even
Right.
like about
Cities,
like travel
cities,
deserts.
cities,
Oh,
states,
you must
states
sell
with higher
water for a
population,
passerby so he doesn't
right,
starve to death.
change their definitions for
or you
words,
must sell
like,
fuel to
I
everybody
don't
so
know,
they
what
can
happened
travel
in
for
New
the
York,
country.
maybe, where
You know,
they
they're not even
changed
making
the
that argument.
definitional for what it is that
You
is
must
a
bake the
violent
cake.
crime. Then that's going to be
that's
the
the
numbers
level.
that the FBI
So yes,
sees.
I do believe
Hold on
fundamentally.
a second. I thought the
If
guy
California does that, that's going to
He did,
massively
but he's
skew the
making
numbers.
the
You're talking about
point.
50 million people.
He's
actually not making the
You're talking
point.
about like
The
what is it,
Colorado
70,
law says that if you were to conduct business in
33
Colorado,
in New York,
you cannot
that's a
refuse
ton of
service to
people
anyone.
that as soon
That's freedom of
as
association.
you skew those numbers, you're
And
the guy
changing
didn't have to
the
make the cake.
statistics.
You're
and they're no
technically
longer
listen.
truthful
I'll
statistics.
surrender. You're technically right. I don't really
Yeah,
care.
that
The
is
idea is that
true
on
if
the
you
left,
did
where
those
it matters, on the
things.
level of
They did.
institutions,
They proved it.
you must accept
They
everybody.
proved it in
And
California and in New York
it
already.
creates this
They've already
idea.
proved that they did.
Here's how
look
it's
at mass
actually used
shooting
in law.
reporting.
Let's
Mass shooting
remember.
used to be any
let's
shooting
say
was
you
3 or more,
have
and then all of a sudden the Dems reclassified
an outcome.
out gang violence, which
The
is
outcome
predominant
is a
orange
certain
things
group
where
of
it's been
people,
mass shooting, and then now
gets the brunt
now
of the law.
it doesn't include that, and
You
all
know,
of a sudden,
they
well,
just,
if you like
the law is just
play with
against
the
them
statistics just a
statistically.
certain way, of course it's going
And
to
so
be the results.
then you
I
can
can start
argue in
excluding
front of
things
the
based on
court
factors I want.
that
What if I
potentially
exclude all mass
violates
shootings that will happen at school
this,
and say let's just look at what
this law
crime
of
shootings are?
1964,
Then it's going to be skewed a totally different way.
because
It's just so ridiculous.
It
so
alleges that the
openly
outcome is
dishonest,
based on their
and then you're saying this doesn't
characteristics.
happen when anybody
So
can see this
they have
happening
legislated
regularly.
correlation
So
being
where are you getting
causation.
this? I mean, just I'll take
And
you at your
Give me,
word.
give me
but
one
show
second,
show me an
Casimir. I
article
got
for
two things I got to do.
That you probably know
some
about.
sort of leadership, some
voter
sort of
ID laws.
criminal statistic.
Like I'm not a
this
fan of
organization
Putin, but
has deliberately
Hold on.
changed
Were you gonna say something good?
the term mass
Not a-
shooting. Like I'm not saying they haven't, but just show me. If you have it, either send it to me or post it. I got to see this because I'm not in the business of just simply, I'll take you at your word.
Well,
but like
you
I
can just
hear
go look
so
at what
much
mass
for
shootings are classified as now, and
these-
then
what I'm reading it says there has been no single reclassification of quote mass
okay,
shooting by
and
single
why it
authority.
does? And look, why
This
don't you
is
look it up and see if it includes gang violence? And it doesn't.
What's that?
Oh.
Yes, but
So yeah, I mean, I know that breaks the brain. I know that breaks the brain. Like last week in Houston, a girl got shot because a gang. They were having a birthday party and a gang came by and shot 6 people. That wasn't included in a mass shooting, even though it's the same thing that's counting over here. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why is that not a mass shooting? Like, do you see these like duplicitous tactics that the left is using? And you're saying this isn't happening, but we've seen them do it.
Sir,
We saw the
but
Biden
I do have
takeout.
to act
We've
as
seen
a good host. So please continue.
Perfect. So can you still hear me? I had to switch some cables around.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, a good example is a judge making this argument in. I'm pretty sure you can dig up the law yourself or ask Eric to do it for you. There's this like a discriminatory outcome in voter ID in asking people to bring an ID to a vote, and because of that, the law gets struck down. Well, based on what does it get struck down? Based on this idea that was pushed in.
Well, hold on
on a second. You said that they've mixed causation with correlation and used the Civil Rights Act.
as causation. But if you're going to file a suit, you know what I mean, you're going to have to prove causation.
Nope. No, you don't. You actually do not. You have to
Not to
prove
file a
correlation.
suit, but to be successful.
No, to be you just have to show correlation. You have to show that you're hiring that they're hiring a disproportionate number of X people.
Okay, I'm going to double check that because I would think you'd have to prove that they actually.
I do think that there's I don't know that there's such a thing as causation in some of these cases. I mean, pardon me. Yeah, causation. It simply is correlation. It is because it resembles the thing, and therefore it is.
So you guys are claiming that they could bring a successful civil action against somebody based on correlation alone, not causation. I'm
right within standard deviations, within a couple standard deviations, right? But like literally, if you have 10,000 employees and it's 99.9% white, you're going to get hit with the lawsuit. It doesn't matter the reasons.
Because you could more easily prove causation. Would be the point.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, I'll look a little.
Proving causation would literally say finding a hiring manager or some email that went around that says we will refuse to hire XYZ. That's the only way you prove it.
Give me 1 second, guys. Vibe, we were going to do the Nerd Wars. I was late. I had to pick my wife up from the airport. We'll do it tomorrow night. Everybody come back, and we're probably going to work with this guy up in the corner in the red, white, and blue shirt there a little bit tomorrow night because he says he's got some lefties and some commies,
dozens of them,
and they might even know something about sci-fi, and so it might be an even better show tomorrow night. So just bear with me.
Unfortunately, tomorrow night's poker night, man.
Poker night. Oh, okay, yeah, poker.
So
I don't play poker.
I even wore the shirt to trigger everybody, and I'm not even going to get to use it.
I'm sorry. Well, we do it every week on Friday nights. This week, obviously, has just been a very strange week.
I even dressed up at the beginning of the stream. I was all in nerd gear. I had my hair parted. I had a shirt on with a button down to cover up my 27-inch pythons.
Great.
So I want to bring, not to reiterate, but kind of, I just want to drill it down to make sure we're all pinned down. I am pushing back. I've double checked, and correlation is not enough. Causation must be proven. And if anyone wants to double check my word. In bringing in any 1983 claim, civil action based on discrimination, based on a 1983 claim, which would be a civil rights claim, 1983 based on discrimination.
Yeah, is that how hold on. And I actually want I need a little bit of clarification here because I didn't keep up with this case once it had been won and then lost again. So my understanding with the Baker in Colorado, he won the case, or he won the case and he lost the case when they retried it or whatever, appealed the judgment or whatever it was. And then did he lose it again? I mean, did he win it again? I'm not sure. Do you not? Because
I know of.
I believe that if somebody comes in and says, "Hey, I want you to do this," even if it's so, I do remember that I believe the first verdict was that if you had grounds for an objection, a religious objection or lifestyle choice, whatever, that you were able to say, "No, I'm not going to bake a cake for X people," or "I'm not going to serve such and such." Well, actually, you absolutely cannot refuse service in like a restaurant or something unless there's a specific problem, like not wearing a shirt or not. It needs to almost be like a health code violation, right?
So to clarify, what happened was that what he won under was the First Amendment. So what it was deemed was that actually creating a cake from scratch, like custom cake, was an effort of creativity and self-expression. So if they came in and said, "Hey, you can, if you want any cake that's already made off the shelf, like standing in my thingies," he would have to sell that to them. But for him to actually create it from scratch, That's where he was saying, no, the First Amendment prevents me from expressing my creativity.
That was the original. That was the original point of contention, right? Is he said that they could buy a cake,
right?
But for him to make a special cake, which I guess was a wedding cake or something,
because it was the decoration of it.
Back up,
To
back up, Steelman here. I'm reading right now. The Supreme Court established that there needs to be a but-for causation of protected characteristics in order for you to file a 601 or 602 discrimination case based off the 1964 Civil Rights Act and 1991. This was established.
Excellent.
In a 7-2 decision, in a 7-2 decision, the court ruled that the commission did not employ religious neutrality, violating Masterpiece owner Jack Phillips' rights to free exercise, and reversed the commission's decision. The court did not rule on the broader intersection of anti-discrimination laws, free exercise of religion, and freedom of speech due to the complications of the commission's lack of religious neutrality. Now, real quick, just because there's what you were thinking, didn't they revoke it or whatever? There's a tied similar. It called the Creative LLC versus Elenis. The Supreme Court granted certiorari, I don't fucking know, in 303 Creative LLC versus Elenis in February 2022, which again dealt with the Colorado anti-discrimination laws applying to public businesses. The case concerned a Christian web designer who sought to make wedding announcement websites only for heterosexual weddings. She feared punishment under Colorado's anti-discrimination law and thus aimed to block the law as a violation of her First Amendment rights. On June 30th, 2023, the court ruled that the web designer's favor, stating that Colorado's anti-discrimination law cannot compel a web designer to create products that indulge or include speech they disagree with. So that was what you were thinking about was, first of all, he held it up both times, but it was the second time as a Christian website designer.
Right. Casimir, go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted you before.
Yeah, I'm sorry too.
I'm not a huge fan of these types of debates. I would prefer historical references, but I think we should talk about Griggs versus Duke Power Company. So this is Duke was required a high school diploma and an aptitude test for certain jobs. And the evidence was just that it disproportionately affected African American workers. And under the Title 7 of the Civil Rights Act, even if no intent to discriminate was shown, the correlation, disparate impact, was enough to invalidate the policy since the requirements were not shown to be job-related. And then this kept getting quoted, like Albemarle Paper Company versus Moody, like Hazelwood School District versus the United States, and here's an example. So this is the legal standard. My question, this is reading from an LLM. Does this act prevent IQ tests from being used during employment testing? Which I find quite relevant, since I sometimes have to do HR myself. Employers can use IQ tests or aptitude tests. However, under Griggs versus Duke Power in 1971 and subsequent cases, a test that has a disparate impact is illegal unless, one, the employer can show that the test is directly related to the job, so general intelligence cannot be shown to do that, and it is a business necessity. Again, you can, if you run a great business, you might want to have people with high IQ. However, the government can say, no, a shitty business is still a business, so it's not a necessity. Therefore, you can't use an IQ test.
Yeah,
So
and I've actually,
for example, forced association.
Yeah, I've actually seen this play out with one of my employers before, where they were sued for discrimination because they did testing for employees, and they had to stop doing their testing based on intelligence and only focus on their artistic aptitude testing, and because that was directly related to the actual work, your ability to perform specific artistic tasks. And they got in trouble because they also were the EEOC said that they didn't have to have quotas, but that the way that they enforced it basically said that they had to have quotas for women in specific roles compared to men, because they were only putting the women in like administrative roles and the men in the other kinds of roles where men actually are better at. And so like they say that there's no quotas, but in practical application there are.
Yeah, they left. They'll be back. Yeah, I was just looking up that.
Who
So
left?
Well, then left, but ADB and horseradish.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh,
Yeah, I
I'm
see.
still here, my friends. I'm still listening. I was just
Oh,
talking to
okay.
talking to my beautiful wife.
Hoser radish. His name is Hoser Radish. Call him a hoser.
Hoser radish. Yeah, I was just looking
All
more
right,
into the
arson, the communist.
and I'll admit that there is the causation. The legal arguments against is just saying it's probably the weakest form of causation you're going to find. The legal term is the but for, which is what
I actually I had a question to horseradish. I heard your previous exchange about the U.S. Constitution and the Federalists, and I wanted to ask you a question, a historical one. So, I don't know if you're aware of the history of Rhode Island, horseradish.
A little bit. Refresh me.
So the quick refresher, yes, and to the audience as well. You can look it up. Actually, I want you to look this up. This is a great bit of American history. There was this guy who, I forgot his name. Sorry. So basically, he lived in another state, I think maybe Maine, and there was some religious persecution. So he decided, and he was pretty well off. So he decided to grab his money, grab his savings, and find a new place to live. A very American sentiment, go into the woods and start your own place. And so he basically was the founder of Providence, Rhode Island. And the way he founded it is he purchased it from the natives. Now, the natives, after various plagues unrelated to this man, had an entire area that was almost totally depopulated. And he offered them money, and they just said, it's yours.
To the point
and he has the deed where you can see the historical document now online. You can find it, and it has the signature of the chief. So the only previous tribe that had any claim to the land just gave it up for cash.
Let me finish speaking. You have a tendency to want to yell and speak over people.
I just correct lies.
I'm not gonna. You're not. Let me. There is a policy, and then there's the effect of a policy, and you cannot understand the difference between the two things. But I think the most important point here is that you have said there is no good reason for them to separate between mass shootings and gang shootings. You present it in exactly the same type of dehumanizing rhetoric that causes violence. The same thing that caused a person here who shared his beliefs, however controversial they were, to get killed. It's this type of dehumanizing, this type of conspiratorial, and this type of overgeneralized rhetoric that is saying things like the lefts are evil.
I agree. So why the Democrats keep doing it?
What is the difference between
Do you understand what policy is? Is policy
hold on, Gibbs. Hold on, Gibbs.
Academics look at this. What is the difference?
Well, I want you to explain to me: is that a policy or not? If not, is not enforcing any crime under $1,000 policy? Yes or no?
All right, hold on, guys.
Saying a whole lot of bullshit.
All right, hold on. I need to take control of the panel very quickly.
I need to control. Broad category of a mass shooting is the focus on an attack on society at large. Where gang shootings are different because they are localized violence within criminal networks. So the reason why people separate between these two things, because it helps criminologists
until in what was probably like a midnight vote. One of the cities on the coast, the major city, caved in.
Give me 1 second, Casimir. Thanks for the raid, Sarah, the Raging Tomato. The link is pinned. Sarah, if you'd like to come up, or if anyone else comes up. Normally, tonight is a debate night, and we would be doing a sci-fi short-form debate. However, we got started late, and so it turned into just we're kind of bantering at this moment. We're not really debating. I don't know what we would call it, but it's a great discussion. We're listening to Casimir, who is a genius, I think, and we're having a great time. So, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the show, and if you want to be a part of it, the link is pinned. I don't often do that, so
Sarah's really not. I've never been on her show, but every time I've interacted with her on here, she is very nice and cool and down to earth and chill. It's just Horseradish got to see last weekend. You get me on the show where people start yelling and get nasty and toxic, and I turn into a trucker. Yeah. You don't want that. You want to keep me on data. Trust me.
It's interesting. I've met Sarah in person. Sarah is short and very nice. I think she's a nice person. I have no problems with Sarah. I think she's wonderful, and I think that what she's doing. Well, I think there are probably some people out there that feel a certain way about it. It's irrelevant, and I really am glad that she rated us, and I consider her a friend at this point. So.
So now that we're back on this subject, though, kind of going back to this whole part about his.
Yeah, I'm sorry I interrupted you again, Casimir. I really do. I don't mean to do that. I just I have to.
I want to jump onto the gerrymandering thing real quickly because I don't think you can end something that's in the Constitution. These rights are up to the states. What you have to do is give them some incentive to pass it. You can say we go in there and burn the torch, but why are Democrats going to vote for a policy that hurts their numbers in the House? We can already see now they're cheering on gerrymandering. They're like, yeah, we're the good guys and we're gerrymandering to save America. Hell yeah, so. When put in that situation, you have to give them some incentives. So I made up a housing policy, and the people that don't like government are going to hate it. I know Anson's going to fucking hate it, but it's 1% government-backed loans to first-time homeowners. We start moving people out of cities using tax cuts for certain businesses around particular skill sets, and we build kind of like what Hershey did and kind of like that guy around outside of Chicago did in the late 1800s, and you build like a city that's around this particular unit of 3-4 potential skills that maybe work together in some way and usher people out of the city. That way the cost of rent in the city goes down, the cost of buying in the city goes down, and thus the cost of assistance for those things, it goes down substantially. You can reallocate that money as well as homeless money and things like that to this plan, pushing people out of the cities. And then when they get that government money to get those loans, you have the clause, you have to sign away some of your permissions of your voting structure to allow.
Have you been cheating off of China's homework? Is that what you've been doing?
No,
Tell me where to sign it. Tell me where to sign it,
I've been
man.
making this up. I've had about 30 different political streamers and one guy that works in business city planning, all helping me. This is all my original policy
Beautiful
I've been
plan.
making up.
Beautiful plan.
Please do, Kissy Cat. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I like your plan too, man. Stalin would really be proud. That's like a reverse 5-year plan. So yeah, I mean that's very Soviet. I'm a huge fan of things that cause people to starve and misallocate resources because it's not capitalist and therefore it's wasteful.
Y'all
So,
heard it here. That's what monarchists
let's waste
believe.
people's money. Let's do that.
Casimir, what do you think of? I would love to hear your opinion on this.
Your microphone's
he
not
may be.
working, Casimir.
He may be away for a moment. It's a so that's kind of what you're proposing is eerily similar to how China is getting people to move into their cities.
I get that, and I understand. Hitler owned a dog. I owned a dog. That doesn't mean I'm Hitler. We already give this money to first-time owners. We already have all these things in place for first-time homeowners. I'm saying we consolidate it. We make it a 1% loan, and you can even allocate those loans out to a private company. We can say, like, hey, banks, these first-time homeowners, we're going to give them something under the
I think that's the way it works now.
Yeah,
I think
what I don't understand, Tyler, is you're using the argument that we're already doing this for first-time homeowners, so let's do it to distort the market of how people would associate with one another and choose where to live, right? Instead of saying, let's just get rid of this wasteful first-time homeowner program that's obviously a boondoggle, and if it was a free market system, it would be run more effectively anyway, because in a free market system, the government wouldn't set artificial prices for money, so people would actually be able to obtain wealth over a long period of time.
Sure, but if you look at the homeowner data, homeownership right now is higher than it was when the market was more privatized 50, 60 years ago. So we're doing something right.
Well, hold on. Let me because this is quite interesting. Let me ask you: would it not be better? It would be more painful short term, but it would be better long term, I think, to take us off the oil standard, to destroy the IMF, tear down the artificial money that we use now. I'm not saying we need to go back on the gold standard because I don't think that's possible. Sorry, there's a super chat. TTS is when it's over $10, and I try not to talk over it. Thank you very much, Desert Joe. I really appreciate that.
It's part of the show.
So this is actually, so I'm listening to what you're saying, and it sounds okay, but long term it solves nothing because you're still linked to the petrodollar. You are still linked to the idea that the United States has to be the world police, that we have to provide all the world's security. Yeah, I know you like that. I hate it. We're still linked to our tax dollars paying for everybody else's lifestyle and security, and I don't like that. I would propose that we take us off of the petrodollar. We destroy the IMF. We get rid of it. We pull we call all of the loans internationally that we've made to all of these countries that never pay us the fuck back. And if they can't pay us, we just take it out in goods and services that they can provide.
But that
like
also
literally like a bank does, say, hey, you can't pay me. You can't pay me the $2 million you owe me. I'll take all the chickens that you have or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
China owns 8% of our bonds. Japan owns 7% of our bonds. Like we have to
Sure,
get all of our debt back before we do that.
Short term, it's painful. Short term.
Well, maybe
long term it sets us up for success, and it keeps us more independent than we will be. You're correct.
Instead of sidelining with attacks.
We do have other countries have bought bonds, but China has actually cashed out a bunch of theirs. I don't really know their political reason for doing so, other than probably just to get it in the papers that they're cashing out bonds that they held. But at this point, I can't see any reason to continue to prop up the world's economy with the petrodollar. I just don't see it. Other than politicians make a shit ton of money doing it.
Well, so Tyler, you said something super interesting too in your comment, which was you were basically making the assertion that expanded home ownership is a good in and of itself, because for some reason you think that just creating a policy that distorts the free market and results in expanded home ownership is good, whereas in reality, expanded home ownership is good in a free market system because it's a signal that the economy is healthy. But our system is set up so that all sorts of people who don't really deserve it are getting something, right? And so it's not actually a signal of a healthy economy or a good economy. It's just a signal that we have policies to prop up people and put them in positions that they didn't actually earn.
Yeah, I agree with you there, but like a lot of this is people are generally poor in their 20s and then generally start earning in their 30s. This helps people when they're at a vulnerable point in their life and then allows them to pay it back later. They're borrowing from themselves in the future through the government in a way that can't be maybe even bankrupted. Maybe they are forced to pay the taxpayer that money back. That money eventually comes back into the economy and also makes cities a lot cheaper to live in as well. That's the incentive to get Democrats to pass this, because this might hurt them electorally in the long run if they're allocating out some of their vote and dispersing it out into more even districts. So,
but I don't see the money. As long as we're on this petrodollar system, the money does not come back to us. The money simply goes offshore once again to prop up everyone else's economy.
That's Nanfan's argument. Well, they come back and they invested in our economy, and then they take even more out. So that's basically the same thing as paying U.S. workers, right? And yeah, I agree.
I mean, while I agree with the premise, I understand what you're trying to do. You want, houses, factories, shops, jobs. I get it. You can have that. We just got to get rid of the petrodollar.
Can I ask Anson a question real quick, sir? I'll take that as a yes. So do you not buy into the idea that people having houses has them bought into the economy? Like, do you not think that having some sort of stake in the game, some sort of like actual
say anything about Destiny, it kind of tells me that you're okay with the rhetoric here when Destiny. Well, no. Well, you're saying.
Yeah, that's not the
You
argument.
never a good straight answer, dude. You were the most pivot, like pure.
No, you're right. Having people in debt in a system where they have to pay interest to banks that are basically regulated to the point.
I'm sorry, is that what I said?
Yeah, yeah, you are. You're talking about the system that we have, which forces people into debt slavery,
Very
right?
simple question.
Yeah. No, I'm a huge fan of debt slavery. I'm
put
answering
people
your
more
question by mocking its stupidity, with saying that it's usury and it's immoral. That's what I'm saying.
Right. So again, you do not believe that people owning property gives them more of a stake in the outcome of the community.
Yeah, in the form of debt slavery. Yeah, it's a stake. Yeah, it's a bad stake.
Okay.
Is it? Okay, no. Okay, no. I think a more honest answer would be if you're given a car because you're 16 and you just got your driver's license, your parents give you a car, does that give you more of a stake in driving?
No, but if you have to go and put your own labor and time.
That's his point.
Right, but if you have to put your own labor and time into
they didn't earn the loan. They didn't earn the loan, so they don't deserve it.
Okay, wait a minute. Maybe I misunderstood the conversation. Oh, no. We're not trying to give it to anybody. I'm sorry. And maybe I misunderstood you, Gandalf. Were you giving anything to anybody for free?
Yes and no.
In this circumstance, it would be a 1% loan. Eventually, they would pay it off with a 1% interest. So the person getting the home wouldn't get anything for free now.
So you were providing people with an opportunity.
Okay, a 1% loan, right? What happens if they default?
That would be the same thing as the bank. You would collect on the loan, you take the property back, and then you turn around and resell it.
See,
you would lose your stake in the game.
Or you essentially offshore it to a bank. You could let the banks be in charge of these loans and just say, hey, because this is a first-time homeowner, we're no longer doing that. You only need 3% of the interest rate to make a down payment, or 3% of the overall price to make the down payment. Instead, we're going to do this 1%.
Yeah, I mean, so I want to hearken you back to 2005. In 2005, we had these things called subprime loans. Between 2005 2008, something like 40% of those loans were in negative equity. In 2008, people started realizing they couldn't pay the fucking loans, and the housing market crashed. And there's no way that what you're prescribing is the only way that the thing that you're prescribing is beneficial is the idea of company housing. Right? Like literally, and I would actually agree with it. If you said it this way, I would agree with you. If you said, for example, that you're going to give an entity, a business, a corporation like Global Core, a bunch of fucking money to go build robots or sex toy doll thing, the microwave powered, whatever, I don't know. Whatever it is, whatever people want 10 years from now. And they built a factory, and around that factory, they built a town, much like Sun Microsystems did, and a bunch of other, Google, a campus, if you will. And if you were to do that, and then the corporation then sold houses and carried the loans that their employees had, I could agree with that. But now we're back to company towns, which we had back in 1908, right up into 1920, which preceded. Do you know what? The Great fucking Depression.
That's half of it. Everything I said is half of it. You are 100% right.
So again, but we're going to see something much worse than the Great Depression because we keep using the petrodollar to prop up our economy so that politicians and some corporations get very wealthy off of this, and the bill never comes due, and we just keep increasing the debt. And this is a problem with the petrodollar and the IMF. We, the United States of America, the people that we elect, will literally destroy another nation's economy to protect the petrodollar. Because if the petrodollar's value changes in either direction too much, it fucks our economy. So again, short-term pain of getting rid of that shit and rebuilding our economy into a model that is functional is way more preferable than anything anybody else has suggested. I used to not think that. I used to be a pro petrodollar person, but when you look, the more you look at it, the more you understand that the only thing the petrodollar does is ensure that the United States of America is permanently indebted to oil-producing countries, permanently. And we cannot, we should not allow that. Just as Americans, we should have, it literally should offend basically everybody.
What do you propose as an alternative?
I think that we need to go back to our currencies similar to the way the British tried to do Brexit, where they went back to the pound as their main monetary unit and got out of the euro. They did it very sloppily in the traditional British manner, thought that they were smart, weren't really that smart. I think that the U.S. dollar needs to be based on something. I disagree with it being based in the petrodollar. Now, here's the thing. If you wanted to keep the petrodollar, before I continue on, I'm sorry, I want to make sure that I'm people don't think I'm being disingenuous. If we wanted to keep the petrodollar, what we'd have to do is the United States of America would have to become the major oil producing country and resource on the planet. And we would have to stop giving back oil fields that we take in war back to countries that hate us and allowing them to profit off of our young men's lives. So either we become global conquerors, as we should, or we open up the spigot on our oil reserves, which are mighty and far more than people are aware of.
A big following and using
one or the other. I don't care which.
We're saying here
personally
is part of the problem.
I say
right? Is that what
correct. We just become pirates and keep
keep
the spoils of war. And I don't
this
really
is a
care
problem
about the
exclusively on the left.
But since I'm not the ruler of America,
no, I'm not
saying
saying
that.
I'm not saying
what we
I'm
can
not
do
saying
is we can destroy the
exclusively on the
petrodollar
left.
and go
I'm
back
saying
onto
there's
something
less of it-
similar
there's less of
to
it
the
on
gold
right
standard.
typically
Obviously, I don't
than
think we
there
can go back on the gold standard. I think everybody that says that's a fucking idiot. And they're just delusional. But
are you trying to sell us Bitcoin here?
No, I don't. I think cryptocurrency should be destroyed. I mean, I don't believe in cryptocurrency at all. All that does. I honestly, at this point,
Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, honestly, I believe Bitcoin is the ultimate CIA troll. I'm beginning to really believe that because everybody thought Bitcoin couldn't be traced. The second you connect the Bitcoin wallet to any web service, the feds know exactly who's got it, exactly where it is, and exactly how much you have. It's worse than cash. It's it's the dumbest thing ever. Right?
So,
it's dumb.
Grid,
So
I agree with you that the petrodollar has problems, but if you look at the history of nations that were the reserve currency that were no longer the reserve currency and what happened in those countries, it was an economic devastation that those countries didn't really recover from, right? You would almost have to go to a totally different system, and there would be lots of pain and political turmoil.
Yeah, it would be short-term pain. Well, there would be short-term pain, but wait, what was that?
That was his pet raptor.
Yeah, I think there'd be short-term pain. I don't deny that. I think it would be. I think the first problem is that we are so used to having this idea of the debt doesn't matter. There's literally, if you go talk to anyone on the most people on the street can't even tell you what the national debt is, and they don't care. And they don't care how much how much money we're spending that we don't have every year. They don't care about any of it because why? Because it doesn't affect their lives directly. As far as they know, obviously it does, but they're too stupid to know that. Or no, pardon me, they're not stupid. They're ignorant. They don't know, and they don't want to know. They don't want to know.
37 trillion.
Yeah, I know you know, Anson, because you're a monarchist, and you think that
when the system collapses, the strongman's going to have to come and fix everything for everybody. So
right. But this is where we're really at. This is a at the end of the day, at the end of the day, first of all, the first step would be to start educating Americans about actual finance. That wealth is not a zero-sum game. That we create wealth, we create money out of thin air every fucking day. Every time a cow's born, there's more wealth. Every time a boat goes out and catches fish, they create wealth. But if you ask the average American, if that's a zero-sum game, that if Steelman gets $100, and obviously that $100 came from me, or a portion of that $100 came from me, because we're just moving a fixed sum of money around on a board. If you ask some average American, they probably actually believe that, when that's absolutely false and not true at all. But the mythology of that has to exist for the people to sleep at night. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go into monologue mode there. I apologize.
No, can you explain what you meant by that? I didn't quite get what you meant by that last part.
Do you understand what a zero-sum game is?
I mean, I do. Sure. I mean, yeah.
Okay. Well, money's not a zero-sum game. Just because I get $100 doesn't mean I stole 50 of it from Anson, 25 of it from my good buddy Tyler, and another 25 from that fellow.
No, but isn't it what it's supposed to imply is, if you give me $100, it's because somehow I give you $100 in value.
No. It's better than that. No. Okay, so I was going to use this as a good example. Let's say I wanted to buy one of Grid's guns up over there, right? And he likes his guns, and he knows that they're worth something to him. But I say, hey, I'll give you $1,000 for that AK with the scope. And he's like, well, gee, $1,000 is probably worth better in reverse, but $1,000 to him is worth more than that AK with the scope. But to me, the AK with the scope is worth more than $1,000. So with giving that exchange, we both gain. And that's the way it is with every transaction. It has to be that way. Otherwise, you wouldn't trade. If you gain nothing or you lose, you wouldn't trade. So the only way you do trade is if both parties are gaining something.
Yeah. Casimir, man, if you're using any browser except for Chrome, you're gonna have problems with Streamlabs software. It's open source, and it just does not play well with Windows. Windows doesn't like authenticating it. Brave hates it. Firefox hates it. Everybody hates it. Just gotta stick.
I had to install Chrome just for this.
Right. I understand. Yeah, right. We get that a lot. I do apologize, Casimir. So that may be the problem. It may not have anything to do with your equipment.
So that's interesting, though. I thought Streamlabs is an extremely popular software.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Extremely finicky.
It's also open source.
And taxing.
Because it's open source, companies like Windows hate open source.
So,
they just
Anson,
do.
Can you respond to Alicat's point?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't. But Anson, did you have a response to Alicat's point? Because it was an interesting take on it.
Not really. Y'all don't understand that. Well, Alicat made a good point, and basically, money is an invention that streamlined bartering and made the subjective exchange between people in voluntary fashion more efficient. But the problem is when you have a system like we have, where we're printing money, you have missed signals where people think that their money is worth something that it isn't, and they end up getting a less good deal over time. And that's why the Cheetos you get in your bag is like half the size that it was 20 years ago.
Sure.
Because we're basically having our money stolen from us without us really noticing. And it's disgusting, and one of the symptoms of a failing empire, and I can't wait for it to crumble.
Okay. Well, I came onto
like
Grid's stream one night and showed. I wasn't able to show the graphs, but I did that with Rob.
Oh, you're the bad guy.
And so, if you look at the common golden bar, which is 400 troy ounces, which is about 25 pounds, back in 1905, that was worth $7,600. Today, it's worth $1.47 million. So, in terms of gold bars, that same gold bar that bought you a shitty house in 1905 buys a pretty nice house today. same frickin' gold bar. So it's not the stuff around us that has decreased in value or is getting as much. It's that our
fucking stop, federal government. Do something about this shit. We don't want our people.
I did not do that.
Trying to talk.
I did not do that.
Then
that's
if
fine.
we get enough
I just
people
to
together
point out that the
and we
money
can make
is
that
what's
happen, we can
deflating,
unify
which
behind
is
that.
where Casimir was starting
I
to talk
think we could
about with
probably
getting
find
the Federal
common ground on a
Reserve,
lot of
go
them.
getting
Maybe not
having the
everything,
government take
but
all of our
enough.
gold.
Because it exists in
Basically,
material
when
space
France said,
occupied by
"Hey,
others.
we want all these bank reserve notes that you gave us that said they're good for gold. Well, we want to turn them all in and
On the
get our
internet
gold
where everything
back."
exists and
And
where
Nixon
everything
basically said,
exists
"Nope,
and where there are no material
that's not gonna
anchors to
happen
everything, it
anymore."
messes with all our
Right?
categories, with our thinking, younger people are
So
more
that's
susceptible.
what's
I
happened.
agree
And then
completely,
ever
Johnny.
since that, the Fed
I agree
basically
completely.
money
And I
printer
will
go
say that
burr, and they had a bunch of people called MMTers that went around
so
saying this is the greatest
I
thing,
think
it's
a
the
lot
best
of
thing for the
older
economy,
people
and they were
who
full of shit.
maybe
And now we're
were
suffering
like
the consequences of it.
adults
We're
or
basically
nearly
again the same
same policies
bar
I
that
listed,
bought a
almost
shitty house
verbatim.
in 1905
I didn't even know
buys a
Trump had said
really
the same
decent
exact policies
house
for forever.
today.
And then he
It's
goes,
not-
I'm going to be
"Oh,
distracted
that
for a
is
minute, so you guys just carry
hateful,"
on. Okay?
and it's
So is
crazy
that
because
because
those are what
the
their
cost of
actual
building a
policies are.
city house
Then
was
he
greater,
sold that to you. Said, "Oh,
and
it's
there
hateful
are more
and
efficient means of
derogatory
building
to
that
say,
the
oh, all
goal
of us we're
actually,
pushing this," when that's what their
stretch a little bit
actual
farther
party
because
stances are.
we're
So we
building
can't even
prices,
say
not
what their
necessarily the
actual
change in
party
value of
stances are
gold
without being
hasn't really
hateful
happened. It's
and
more that there's a change
lumping
in
them all
value
in
of the
together.
money, right?
That's crazy work.
The
Good
exchange
job.
of gold
Almost got
per
away with
dollar
it.
is not the
Then
same. I
after
think
that
that's
he
what
goes,
your point
"Oh,
is.
I'm going to sell
that's
my
the point.
most
So yes,
good point," which is the one that
technology has made it much
every good
easier
salesman
and
has an actual
cheaper
thing
to
they do
build
it,
bigger
which is
and
universal
better
health care.
houses.
That's something that
one of the
relates to a lot of
side
people in the
effects
center right.
of
That's
making
something that relates to a lot of
money
people in the
go
middle.
burr
Well, hey,
is
we're the
that-
richest
is
nation.
that,
Why can't anybody else?
the,
Yeah, cool. That sounds morally
misallocation
good.
of
You know,
resources
anybody can
causes,
include a piece of candy in
investment
when all
into,
the rest of the shit's baby
technology.
back bullshit. And that's what you're doing here.
that's actually
You're saying
one
you're
of the
one
side
good thing
effects,
and then saying we can't talk about
you know,
any of your
excessive
bad things
building,
because that's
like
mean.
skyscrapers. You
No,
can go back
no,
and look
no.
at,
Sorry, sir. We are going to talk
the
about those
data
policies.
for the-
And then when
the
you turn around,
largest,
it's this evil
skyscraper
framing.
records
It's like
in the
we
world,
can't do anything. But the minute we play
leading
by
to,
your rules or Trump plays by the rules the Dems have been playing, which is called by
situation where
Nazis,
there's a
but Trump says some
misallocation
mean
of
things. Oh, it's the bad guy.
and
When he's
a,
responding,
economic
when every
collapse
single
shortly
time
after the
it's the
largest
left
skyscraper in the world
escalating.
was
Every
constructed.
single
That's
time. You know, y'all
actually
say
been
y'all
studied
brought up
before,
January
because what
6th.
happens
One
is,
person died on January
people get all
6th.
these
$20 billion
mixed
worth of damages.
economic
Multiple
signals 'cause
deaths
they think that
throughout
the
for the
money is worth
BLM
more
riots.
than it
We're
is.
not
They
even
think
talking
that
about
the
some of the other
economy is
stuff that's
booming,
gone down.
and
That's
so
just
they
one to
go
one
out
comparison,
and
not even
do all
close.
these
Like
massive
these
capital
crime
outlays,
policies,
but it's
these
actually
policies
wasteful
cause
because
people to die. I
they're
brought up
actually
the
doing it
Ukrainian
in
girl murder.
advance of
That
a,
person was let out
economic
because guess what?
downturn.
A DEI policy.
And a
The
bit
person
too,
that
and
appointed
what
the
we've
judge
been
was the
discussing
DEI
is that
person
you
of the
don't wanna
year,
hold on
hired
to
a
money.
magistrate judge
Like, again,
that
if-
was, guess what? Let
Yeah,
this
I'm
guy
not saying
out,
you
go
should
to
have
her
done this,
sister
but,
or
like,
her
14
girlfriend.
times.
money
Yeah,
in
14
gold,
times.
it would have
And then this person
appreciated
killed
over the
somebody.
years.
That's a
If you
policy
put your
that
money
caused
into
a death.
housing,
And guess
it
what? It's
appreciates
crazy
over
that
years.
caused
If
this
you
death
put your
because this is a
money
person you know supposed to be
into,
saving. So I can relate
corporations,
all
they
these back to these
appreciate
policies
over the
and these
years. And much
escalations
higher
and to
than
give them out a
inflation
cookie.
does.
It's not a
That's only
gift out.
because the
And that's
government
guess what?
has an
It's the
artificial
hard
price
facts.
of money set, right? That it wasn't
Right,
always
yeah,
the
that
case
is
prior
gift out by
prior to
definition.
No.
the government
That's full
basically
That's okay.
centralizing
It's
who
fine.
controls
It
the
was-
money.
It's
think
no,
it
it's
was-
one
onto
fact
your
leads to
cash,
second fact. It's
it
called
would-
building a
it would,
case.
you know,
You are a
increase
lawyer. I feel like
the
you've done
value
this
of
before.
what the
few-
market
No, that's how I
would
know,
have to be
'cause
a
I'm a lawyer.
sophisticated
It
investment.
was
Right, that all
following.
disappeared in the
It was
60s.
following
Yeah,
the
well, no,
logical
in the no, was it 1913, 1914 when they started the Federal
Well,
Reserve Bank?
Sort of. So what ended up happening is that he's right that the Federal Reserve was 13 or 19? Yeah, 1913. And then there was what was the other thing that he was mentioning? I'm trying to remember the dates. The issue is that the dollar was pegged at a certain number of gold. Like original currency, gold itself used to be divided into 8 bits. Like that was what, hey, I'll get you 2 bits for that. What was that? That was a quarter of an ounce of gold. And so what ended up up happening up until about the 60s is that the United States